My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. It is Thursday, June 26, 2025, and the state of California, acting by the city of Ontario in concert with the people of the state, are gang stalking using commercial planes flying over 323 West G Street, which is getting into perfect alignment with the position of my person at the TABOR professional building, where I have multiple shadows on the ground. That's speaking to the specific environment that is conducive to criminal monitoring, pursuant to stalking that the city of Ontario, the corrupt government, is engaging in with the population that's stalking me at 12 o'clock at night. It's 12:57. It's going on 1 o'clock in the morning. And the entity is doing so flying in alignment up to the position of my person and then making a U-turn like I captured on video. In doing so, pursuant to what is, again, no accomplishment of stealing property, of defaming my character, and maintaining theft through a criminally procured conservatorship. This is the entity that is gang stalking now at this point, based on what is that demon possession that the entity has, and this is that delusional ego. This is the spirit of Satan that is using this entity that is still gang stalking me, but there will be no theft of my property, and there will be no criminal defamation that a court's going to adjudicate over over my character with regard to this entity stealing my property. Tracy Banks is going to federal prison, and she failed in stealing my property through a fake conservatorship with the state. It's 12:58 a.m., and that's directly relevant to Alan D. Wapner targeting me with the commercial airline planes gang stalking of the Ontario International Airport in concert with the people of the state. It's 12:58 a.m. on June 26, 2025. This is P.O.C. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes, and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C., and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state. And it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, this is a demon sitting in the middle of the parking lot, stalking in the path with the Ontario International Airport 4BKF383. This is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. All manner of child predators, stalkers, and criminals gang stalking. And the entity is incentivizing this sort of monitoring conduct, this sort of stalking conduct by the people of the state. And so is Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields. They're going to federal prison, and that's a threat to your life where the government is gang stalking you with the people of the state. That includes the population of criminals. And when you're understanding criminals, you're recognizing that they don't fit what you ordinarily understand as a criminal, because the people of the state, that entire civilian population is gang stalking. Whether they have a criminal record as a stalker, as a rapist, or not. Because they're criminals while they're all gang stalking. They're stalking in the path, in the middle of the parking lot, Caucasian female, monitoring with the same city of Ontario. People, license plate 6UBK077. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:47 a.m. and this is the same conduct of stalking in the path with methods of light, which the demons are doing while I'm in mode from walking while I'm walking from one place to another, transitioning from one venue to another, going from one place to another. In other words, this is 507 Good Avenue right here. This is P.O.C. sitting right here in the middle of the road in order to maintain presence in the path. A creepy stalker just sitting in the middle of the road with the ignition running. This is the entity that's, again, I'm documenting the people of the state, pacing all around me while I'm sleeping, wanting to be next to me while I'm sleeping. I documented the same pattern of conduct at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. It's the same thing with the demons that want to be next to me while my panties are down, while my vagina is exposed, while I'm in the private space, while they're stalking. This is all relevant to the pattern of conduct and the unlawful threat, the sex offender that is gang stalking, and the mental illness of that gang stalker. All right, and I want to be clear, it does not have a race. You're dealing with a demonic spirit, and it's using everyone, a population. It does not matter what their race is and what their age is. They're sharing the pattern of conduct, and they're engaging in that POC. 8ZDL481. This is POC. It's currently 5. Hold on. It is currently 5:48 a.m. This is 507 North Euclid Avenue. All right, the people of the state monitoring with the overweight Latino stalking in the middle of the parking lot. 36K E5C. Starting the ignition as I start recording right now is this demon that's in the same Starbucks parking lot. 5VOG870. License, can't really see this one. Meeting is 6JQX766. And running is a demon sitting in the parking lot stalking 6BSD645. This is the pattern of conduct of Starbucks that is engaged in the pattern of conduct. McCarthy is that truck, 36K ESC. That's McCarthy, US dot 145412, California license number 174630. It is currently 5:50 a.m. This is the pattern of conduct of Starbucks that's engaging in gang stalking as I arrive to the venue. And they're engaged in criminal monitoring, as you see with the Ontario Police Department, as you see with the population that fills up the venue in order to engage in targeting, fills up the cafe, fills up the parking lot in order to engage in gang stalking under the fake Sun 8ZRL537 meeting. P.O.C. All right, stalking behind, license 5Z2H275. That's a psychopath. Those are the sex offenders monitoring my vagina, stalking obsessively. Meeting by stalking, being in front of me as I'm at the Starbucks driveway, and directly behind as I use my communication device. That's a stalker. Those are the stalkers. License 6ZEU331. Those are the that's a Starbucks employee gang stalking on the inside of the venue while the patrons are engaging in the surrounding conduct. This is what they're doing at the plaza last night. And this is all, again, the entity that's gang stalking. The entity is going to be prosecuted for domestic terrorism and psychological torture, and their mental illness is going to be made what is public information with regard to exposing this government system. They're not taking this. These psychopaths, these sex offenders and stalkers are exposed as such. They're not stealing any of my property. There's no successful conservatorship. The government's being prosecuted. License plate 29918G2. And now they're just gang stalking because they're demons who are gang stalking and they're psychopaths, and it's going to be recognized with regard to mental illness and the criminal pattern of conduct. And it will never be spoken of again as some sort of fiction of the imagination of somebody that's supposedly mentally ill, because gang stalking, as the state of California has proven, is underway by mentally ill psychopaths who conspire to steal and defame American citizens. They are doing so because they're facing federal prison, mental asylums, and prosecutions as corrupt businesses. But the entity is not going to steal any of my property. They've totally lost the ability to maintain any sense of legitimacy in a courtroom, engaged in nothing but gang stalking, as the facts show, as the evidence shows. 04253K3. Gang stalking meeting at the door, 8WHM563. This is P.O.C. Gang stalking under a fake sun at every single last venue where I'm at in Ontario, California is not going to get it. The state of California is going to be prosecuted, and they are not stealing any of my property. And Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are going to federal prison for conspiring with this government. P.O.C. Hi, Vivi. How's it going? It's called meeting in the path. This is a psychopath stalking in the bathroom and crossing path as I walk in. That's the same meeting conduct. Remember, they're walking in engineered light. Okay, in the directed light, Vivian is monitoring my vagina. She's gang stalking me, creating light activity and pacing around me in a private space, criminally monitoring with the sex offenders who are the Ontario Police, aiding in that with the population. And you've got traffic in the bathroom at Starbucks at 5:57 a.m. Again, under circumstances where, but for gang stalking someone who's sitting in the cafe, the people of the state are gang stalking by filling up the cafe and filling up the parking lot of cafe and spending time at the cafe as opposed to using the drive-through services, which is ordinarily the practices of venues like Starbucks. The overwhelming population inside is engaged in gang stalking. They're monitoring my vagina right now at 5:57, the moment that I walk in, pacing in the venue, which are the demons who are stalking on behalf of that corrupt police department. Like you've seen, they do all that pattern of conduct centered around my vagina. This is what Vivian and the rest of the third parties at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue are engaging in. They are going to be prosecuted as the sex offenders that they are, and so is Starbucks, the corporation. It routinely engaged in monitoring my vagina as well, and engaging in more sexual violence regarding centered around my vagina as I document them, monitoring my vagina. It's currently 5:58 a.m. at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is bathroom monitoring, P.O.C. I'm sorry, what's your name? Jackie. Jackie? Oh, okay. You're the only one I haven't met. Hot chocolate, thank you. Do you mind if I get one of those stoppers, the green stopper things? Thank you. All right, this is documentation of the bathroom monitoring. I'm Jackie. Thank you, Jasmine. And Vivian, going by Vivi, and Alana, monitoring in the bathroom and having third parties in alignment in the on the sidewalk outside, monitoring as well. So they walk in, okay, while my panties are down, while I am in position over the toilet in the bathroom, while my legs are spread apart, while I am in that indisposed space, and the entity is monitoring your every movement. This is how they're stalking with activity. This is how they stalk with light. And so a sex offender enters into the bathroom, which is engaging in what is pacing conduct. They're all in engineered light. Both genders engaged in monitoring together. Both genders focused on what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So it's not only the fact of monitoring in the bathroom. Vivian, Jasmine, Jackie, Alana are engaging in what is bathroom monitoring with the third parties, gang stalking with them at Starbucks. With the knowledge, specific knowledge, and that is the intention to wait until I'm in that indisposed state. This is the entity that's engaged in what is sexually perverted means of gang stalking, and also a means of sexual harassment, all right? Engaged in what is a means of sexually traumatizing you, sexually, some sort of satanic means of humiliating you, especially while you're documenting it. So they engage in, remember, they're doing this to people that don't know, so they're doing it to somebody that's prosecuting them for it. Jackie, Alana, Jasmine, and Jasmine are engaged in that sex offense with the people of the state. I'm going to show you the images of sex offenders, and I'm also letting you know the details of the sexual violence. They do what they do based on what I do. So based on knowledge that my panties are down, that my vagina is exposed, that my legs are spread open, the entity is engaged in what is light activity and pacing while I'm in that indisposed space, coming into the bathroom to pace around, to create light activity. And all the demons, who are the same entity that you see hundreds all day long, stalking in the cafe in engineer light, stalking, maintaining presence and alignment to my position inside of the cafe with flashing lights, stalking by pacing all around inside of the cafe under a fake sun. They're engaging what is the same gang stalking conduct, and it's all centered around my vagina. This is what the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded for, the sexual violence that they're engaging in, while Jackie, Alana, Jasmine, and Vivian are engaging in that at 507 North Euclid Avenue with the Ontario Police Department, with the population that's engaging in that sexual violence, and it is indiscriminate. The demon-possessed are violent sex offenders, and this is also why when you're documented, you're going to be prosecuted, and it's a federal case. Well, you're documented when you're in the city. You're documented as a mayor. This is Paul Leon engaging in what is sexual violence, stalking and monitoring an American citizen, a woman, in a bathroom with the population, with the corrupt levels of government where he's in position of leadership, and he's engaged in that sexual violence as well. In the same way that he's monitoring, when I document him by name, he's monitoring when the entity, the City of Ontario, is gang stalking in the bathrooms throughout Ontario, because that's exactly what they're doing inside of this Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue in engineered light, pursuant to specific knowledge about my status in the bathroom. So you're understanding, it doesn't make it better if all your clothes are on and you're washing your hands or you're brushing your teeth. It doesn't make it better. You're monitoring in a bathroom, and you're a sex offender, and you're a whole freak weirdo. But the entity is engaging in what is doing so with the deliberate purpose to wait until I'm physically indisposed. My legs are spread apart. This is what I want you to know about the perverted mind of Vivian, of Alana, of Jasmine, of Jackie, and the people of the state, the third party, the African-American male keeping his back to me, anticipating my walking out. This is a stalker that's monitoring my vagina while standing on the sidewalk in relevant position with Jackie, Jasmine, Alana, and Vivian. Doing so with, again, the corporation Starbucks is being prosecuted for all of this. And so is the third party, the white male driving the license plate that I captured as well. They're pacing in and out in the drive-through, and they're all centering their attention, their elements of monitoring on my vagina, monitoring and coming into the bathroom in order to do so. The entity is engaging in this surrounding conduct, in this gang stalking conduct, and it's centered on the genitalia of that targeted individual. And this is no population that is going to maintain any sort of control or retain my property. They're going to hand over my property, and I'm going to prosecute the sex offender that is gang stalking, which is the state of California. This is the evidence that's going to cause them to not only relinquish my property, but they're going to repay me for everything that was stolen with interest, and they are not going to steal any of my property whatsoever. This is not evidence that's under any circumstances going to bear any sort of reflection on the targeted individual, not me and nobody else in the future, because I'm showing the corruption and the mentally sick tactics of the entity that's engaging in stalking one person together, and they also engage in what is stalking you while they are worshiping your genitalia. This is relevant to their ritualistic conduct that's centered on your private parts while you're in a private space, while you're engaged in private activity. And this is government action. No sex offender, no predator is stealing my property and has any legitimacy in court either, okay? And that includes Tracy Banks. And that includes Jason Isaac Fields, who are gang stalking with this entity and have been for years. There is no hope. They're not getting any property from me. And this is what you're always mindful of as I document moment by moment every stalker following from place to place and monitoring my vagina. That is not stealing my property, and it has no hope of stealing my property. But the fact that this entity is targeting in the first place, that's why Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields are going to federal prison. It's why the Ontario Police Department incentivized in targeting me in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. But you're not defaming me when you're monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, when you're stalking me day and night in helicopters, which is proven through hardcore evidence that even the public, the world is witnessing. You're not stealing anything from me, and my character is not being falsely depicted as it matters at all under any circumstances, because the entity is relying on what is the corruption of the state. The entity is relying on the gossip, the witchcraft, the spell casting. They're relying on their feckless acts of and reliance on hexes and voodoo. That doesn't work. But when it matters, when it's in court, when this evidence is in court, they're not taking any of my property, and I'm going to prosecute for this very sex offense of gang stalking. It is currently 6:18 a.m. I'm going to go through the entity gang stalking in a bathroom, and that includes, like I documented, Jackie, Jasmine. You have Alana, who you see gang stalking, walking, crossing path. This is a whole psychopath that is under the fake sun, walking into the entrance of 507 North Euclid Avenue, as you will see on the 23rd, I believe, of June 23rd, 2025. The entity is engaging in gang stalking. She's in clear evidence, and she has been, and so is the entire cafe. That is what's entering into the bathroom, obsessing over my genitalia. No sex offender is stealing my property. This is absurd. And so is the level of evidence against the state of California, the city of Ontario. No sex offender, no demon, no gang stalker is stealing my property. What they have done is they have aided in setting precedent, and what is never again to unlawfully and unfairly take what I've shown, it's unconstitutional because a government that can manipulate the circumstances of an American citizen by gang stalking them and merely engage in what is lying, corrupt acts of a government, that's one that does not and shall not have the authority under the law against any other American citizen to take their property because someone else claims that they need to have a conservatorship. Conservatorships that are not even lawfully created. They are serving more of a risk, a threat to the liberty rights, the property rights, the right to be free from targeting, than they are serving any interest of an American citizen that is purportedly incapable of taking care of their own property. That's not a legitimate interest of the government, not where the entity is engaged in this level of surveillance and targeting American citizens. And the imbeciles in the city of Ontario and the state of California have aided in establishing what shall necessarily be the case in changing the laws, because a demon-possessed population, a so-called secret society of a whole bunch of sex offenders, are not under any circumstances elite whatsoever. They've provided the roadwork for changing the laws so that no other group of pedophiles and sodomites and gang stalking psychopaths who are demons, they worship Satan, can engage in what is linking up with corrupt courts, corrupt cities, corrupt officials, corrupt police departments in order to target an American citizen and steal a large amount of property that they know about. Because this is essentially what the state of California has sought to do. And you have a lot of people that are going to prison for it. All right, it is currently 6:20 a.m. I want to be clear. The gang stalking that I'm subject to in Starbucks in Ontario on Euclid Avenue, where the entity keeps a whole fake sun over this section of the street. It's over one section of the street all day. That's stalking me in the bathroom and worshiping my vagina. That is exactly related to the judges that have engaged in gang stalking me with Tracy Banks. And you're gang stalking me with Tracy Banks. You're gang stalking me with Jason Isaac Fields. You're gang stalking me with the Ontario Police Department when you aided in and maintaining or procuring in any way a conservatorship that was secretly maintained and created outside of my knowledge, outside of my participation, outside of my consent, outside of the bounds of the law. And that's deliberate. That's why they're gang stalking. That's not accident. That's not an accident. That's not an oversight. That's the work of this corrupt government. And you're going to prison. I'm documenting you right now. I'm laying down the foundation for why you're going to federal prison. It is currently 6:21 a.m. I don't need to know your name. You're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. All right. It is currently 7:48 a.m. where the fake sun is in position where Jackie and Alana. Amelia has joined in gang stalking on the job, and this is Jasmine also engaged in the sex offense that I'm documenting, and now they're engaging in what is the ongoing monitoring on the venue of the internet in concert with the sex offenders, loitering in the path inside of the cafe, all of them sitting in the directed light, pacing in the directed light, obsessively monitoring, now engaging in an ongoing satanic campaign to just slow down the internet because it's going on the internet. This is federal stalking. They're engaging in what is the amplified audible activity through the wall, and it's in the same position where you see me putting my hand up, you can see my shadow on the pleather seats. That's where the engineer light is aimed, and that's where also the amplified audible activity is aimed. And all these demons are engaging in monitoring, trying to slow down the internet. This is the cycle of the entity that's gang stalking, what they're engaging on an ongoing, ceaseless basis. While their criminal pattern of conduct is not a secret, and they're also not going to steal any of my property through a fake conservatorship that Tracy Banks maintains. This is publishing every aspect of the pattern of conduct of gang stalking, targeting an American citizen, and furtherance of murder and kidnapping as a bunch of psychopaths who are delusional in a lost endeavor and still engaging in it, which is proof of their mental illness and the corruption of the government engaging in it with them. Where the engineer light is where the fake sun is, and this is where they're engaged in monitoring on the venue of the internet, mindful, aware of the evidence of their monitoring my vagina, and after they engage in monitoring my vagina, they're trying to stop, as sex offenders, that evidence from getting on the internet. That's federal stalking. It's going on the internet, but I'm also going to prosecute for the criminal endeavor to try to obstruct justice by monitoring and engaging in criminal monitoring, surveillance with the government online, trying to hide or conceal the fact that you're a sex offender. These are the psychopaths, and it is Starbucks. So you hear creating audible activity, they're creating that in engineer light. Demons are pacing and stalking with amplified noise through the wall, which is by me, and the engineer light, which is surrounding me, and the fake sun that is over me at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Again, the sex offenders who you will see: Alana, Jackie, Jasmine, and let me see, Alana, Jackie, Jasmine, and the fourth sex offender. Her name is, let me see, I'm capturing all of their images. Let me get this for you. Hold on. Okay, just confirming, it is in fact Alana, Jasmine, and Jackie, whose license plates I'm documenting en route to the venue. They're gang stalking with the people of the state, the population that's relying on Starbucks as a venue for them to sit around and gang stalk all day. And this is also where the entity is keeping the fake sun. You'll see the engineer light inside of the venue. Where you see me putting my hand, that's where the entity is aiming amplified audible activity with simultaneity to my operation, my device. So as I go to YouTube to begin uploading, boom, 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 through the walls, where the engineer light and where the fake sun is in alignment with me, you'll see the same African-American male monitoring my vagina, again, engaging in surveillance in a bathroom. That's mental illness conduct. That's conduct that's directly pointing to the mental illness of the sex offenders, engaging in their ritualistic conduct surrounding my vagina while they're stalking as an entity. And this is what they commit against targeted individuals, thinking that you're going to steal property from them and falsely depict their character, and their mental illness is going to be a matter of their prosecution. And no sex offenders, no gang stalkers, no demons that are sitting around stalking in a cafe under a whole fake sun, none of them, and neither is the city of Ontario, the state, Tracy Banks, Jason Isaac Fields, demons having sex with each other, having a mother-son dynamic. They're both psychopaths and violent predators. None of them are achieving any of this. This is exposing every aspect of this criminal system, exposing the corruption that's inherent to what is gang stalking committed by a government, while they're engaged in seeking now, because I'm exposing it, now they're engaged in criminal conduct to slow down its publication on the internet, and it's going on the internet. So every aspect of the P.O.C. is exposed, and you're going to federal prison as I am demonstrating the fact that no whistleblower whose life is under attack, like in the way that the state of California is, with a whole population that's stalking me day and night, you're going to federal prison for that. And so is that corrupt police department. That is Mike Lorenz, who's monitoring my vagina, while a bunch of demons are pacing around and stalking with amplified noise and engineered light under a fake sun, pacing as a whole demon-possessed population focused on me. And the whole environment is what proves it. And it's also relevant to the mental sickness of those engaging in it. So it is, in fact, again, Amelia has joined engaging in the federal offense of gang stalking in the workplace. She's doing so with knowledge and with intent. Remember, she's gang stalking under the fake sun hours from now yesterday while she's pulling out of the parking lot, and I'm documenting her license plate. She's under the fake sun, which is hours away from 7:54 a.m. She's also under the fake sun in the presence of the Ontario Police Department gang stalking. She's going to federal prison. She's a sex offender coming in and joining in the criminal elements of monitoring. And as Alana and Jackie and Jasmine and Vivian, that's the sex offender's name. Vivian is gang stalking, going by Vivi. She's engaged in the pattern of conduct, psychopathic behavior, stalking with amplified noise, stalking under a fake sun, stalking with engineer light flying in the air. Their mental illness is shown by the wacky, Looney Tunes, circus-like environment where they're all stalking together. And they're all stalking with regard to failing at keeping their perversion, their predatory conduct of monitoring my vagina in a bathroom together as government action. That's what is centered on right now with the use of their communication devices under the fake sun, which is in alignment. You'll see that captured, and I've already captured it. I don't have to capture it again, but I do. I diligently, continuously capture, because the pattern of conduct that's being prosecuted, it's also going to be relevant that everybody that's going to federal prison, everybody that's being removed from office, everybody that's been documented gang stalking, the entity continuously and obsessively did so after they already lost any there is under no circumstances, no possible way that they're ever stealing any property from me. The entity's mental illness is going to be at the forefront with regard to what people engage in this conduct that I have proven unilaterally by myself single-handedly, and not only that, the entity that's going to be punished and prosecuted for this level of criminal conduct against an American citizen after it's already been exposed at that. That's also relevant, the fact that it's no longer a secret, and then they continuously engage in it. So now you're not stealing property, you're not getting any of my money, you're not sharing any property, you're not retaining any of my property. So now what are you gang stalking for? Oh, because you've been the demon-possessed psychopaths from the beginning. You've been corrupt from the beginning. These are raging, mentally ill, ticking time bombs whose mental illness is no longer concealed while they engage in pacing, while they engage in surveillance and the most absurd and demented methods, while they're all together stalking one person. And it is all criminal conduct by the Ontario Police Department vicariously, who's being disbanded by this demented conduct, which is directly relevant to the mental illness of those that are going to be removed from law enforcement. I've documented many of them engaging in kidnapping. I've documented many of them gang stalking on the roads and the highways. I've documented many of them engaged in criminal summoning, and they're going to federal prison. It's currently 7:56 a.m. This is relevant to federal stalking that Starbucks, the corporation, is engaged in, and Starbucks employees. And it is Alana, Jackie, Vivian, going by Vivi, and Jasmine, who are engaged in criminal monitoring, while they're aware that their identification is going to be published on YouTube. It's going to be published on the P.O.C. website, because I'm going to prosecute them for the violent sex offenders that they are, while they're sharing in the sex offense committed as an entity, while both males and females are engaged in what is this ritualistic conduct centered around my vagina as they're worshiping it, gang stalking me in a private space. Okay? It is currently 7:57 a.m. This is P.O.C. Looking at demons engaging in surveillance. As I walk to the opposite end of the cafe, the fake sun moves in alignment to me, and you'll see the demon with the cap on, the gray shirt, and the khaki shorts. He's going toward the bar with regard to crossing path. This is, again, akin to the game of basketball. When you are blocking the path of somebody with the ball, this is what this demon is doing. Engineer light fills the cafe, the fake sun is in alignment to me, and this is gang stalking conduct in concert with the patrons that are inside stalking in the path, and this is psychopathic. They're all engaged in what is they don't speak of it. They are, again, acting oblivious to your presence, but they're obsessively stalking, and they're stalking in a building. It's all concentrated inside of the building. This is where I'm walking toward. I want to make sure that you're understanding the demon wearing the dark blue scrubs. This is somebody engaging in the P.O.C., psychological torture, gang stalking, engaging in the sexual violence, engaging in what is domestic terrorism, while wearing scrubs indicative of those of the medical profession, gang stalking, and engaging in public corruption, and doing more of it, literally pacing to the bathroom while I'm documenting. This is a psychopath sharing in that P.O.C., and this is demon possession. With regard to what I'm documenting, it needs to be known, not only do demons pose a threat to the public while they're in law enforcement, like the Ontario Police Department is revealing, they are also a threat to those that are in the medical profession at any level, okay? This is a demon wearing the dark blue scrubs. She's engaged in criminal surveillance, pulling out a book, holding a pen, while she's under the fake sun and engineer light, monitoring with the psychopaths that hurry up and get up out of their seats so they can cross paths as I walk across the cafe. She's gang stalking and engaging in the psychopathic conduct of using a bathroom as a means of stalking somebody. All of these deranged psychopaths are acting on behalf of the state, the city of Ontario, and they're all engaged in federal stalking together. While they're pacing, it's the elements of monitoring. While they're engaged in monitoring, which affects the communication device, slowing down the internet, it's going on the internet, but this is criminal activity with the intent to obstruct justice. And you need to be aware that so-called medical professionals like Unicare,
health center demonstrates, they're engaged in a pattern of conduct, and those psychopaths are unfit to be in the medical profession. Or average psychopath, as I'm showing you, that are gang stalking in the state of California, pose a threat to the public, as the propaganda about mental illness has totally thwarted what is actually a threat to oneself and other people, while they're engaging in what is seeking to criminally defame targeted individuals. Okay, so I want to make sure that that's clear. This is uploaded onto the Google Drive. The images of those that are gang stalking inside of the cafe, just coming in and engaging in any means of surveillance, putting out a laptop, just studying your communication device, even working at the venue and preparing drinks. And why? Because the facilitating venue is identified by the supernatural maintenance of what is not the natural environment. Because the fake sun is over where you're working, you're stalking, and you're a whole psychopath that thought that no one was ever going to know that. It's the same with those in the legal profession, in law enforcement, in the medical profession, in public office. When I'm at the city hall and the fake sun is remaining over me, Paul Leon is gang stalking. The Ontario City Council are a bunch of corrupt, gang-stalking psychopaths. They're violent sex offenders monitoring my vagina. Okay, you're being removed from office. You're being exposed as a threat that you are to the public and yourself. Okay, it is currently 8:02 a.m. and that's what I want to make sure I address when you're looking at those gang stalking inside of the Starbucks cafe. The fake sun moves as I move to the opposite ends of the cafe, and the demons are engaged in what is crossing a path. Literally, the demon in the white Tesla is driving by, crossing path as I walk outside of the door. The demon wearing the cap, the Caucasian male, he's crossing path, getting up from his seat, hurrying up to do so, crossing path as I'm getting up and walking. And the demons are maintaining this ongoing crisscross conduct and engineered light. This is the gang stalking that's happening as you're looking at it all concentrated inside of a building. This is what an entity is doing out in public. All right, under the fake sun that remains over me from city to city, while I'm in my vehicle, while I'm on the freeway, and the entity is gang stalking by aircraft. This is the purpose of it, making sure they maintain presence all around you, making sure that your path is never unobstructed. That's what gang stalking is about, and it's happening in that engineered environment. Now, with regard to your genitalia, that's the sex offender. It's occurring when I'm not even in operation of a communication device. I'm not on the internet. I'm not documenting. My genitalia is exposed. I'm engaged in private activity. That's nothing but a sex offender. Nothing but a sex offender and an obsessed stalker and a psychopath. That's what's stalking in bathrooms. That's what's stalking around bathrooms. That's what's stalking in the male restroom adjacent to the bathroom. That's what's stalking on the sidewalk adjacent to the bathroom on the outside of the building. That's what's stalking in planes and helicopters. That's what's stalking by crossing path in traffic. That's what's stalking across the street at all of the relevant positioning by the establishments gang stalking in the same specific environment. It's a massive sex offense, and it's an egregious act of sexual violence committed by an entity that is targeting together. And this entity and no other entity is engaging in theft of property through gang stalking like the state of California sought to do through this criminally procured conservatorship that this high school graduate, Tracy Banks, a pedophile, okay, a lying psychopath, a serial killer, has maintained in order to steal property from me. Not only is that not going to happen, this is going to be the conclusive evidence with regard to diagnosing the gang stalker and prosecuting it. It is currently, again, 8:04 a.m. This is P.O.C. It's 10:08 a.m. You will see the people of the state pacing around with their communication devices, where the Ontario Police is centering their, quote, police training at the fake church, the V.O.S. church, where I've documented the fake sun early in the morning, 7 in the morning, and late into the evening, 6:10 p.m. This is where they're centering their police training, where demons are pacing around me with engineer light above my head, 9EBV 454, where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking over the 280 North Limit Apartments, 8UFN 152, and where you are centering your police training around the targeted individuals, stalking and doing so. That's the same police department that's being gang stalking, that's going to be disbanded for gang stalking. They're the same police department that centers everything around my vagina as well. Again, their failure at actually engaging law enforcement and engaging in what is conspiring to steal from American citizens because they are a bunch of unelite sex offenders and incapable psychopaths, 7KSG 306. Gang stalking with any random sex offender, criminal, immigrant with illegal papers in this country, gang stalking, 5TCU 962, and those that are, that do have their papers in line and do have the appropriate documentation to be in this country, the Ontario Police Department is gang stalking with all of them equally. All right, and the entity is engaging in what is maintaining police training in relevant position to the Ovid Family Community Library, where a bunch of demons are about to be documented for gang stalking with the police. Again, yesterday it's at the College of Laverne, University of Law.
And you saw that fake sun remain, and today they're engaged in gang stalking on the opposite side of the same venue at the U.S.C church. That's a fake church. I've documented them gang stalking, and it's across the street. It's still relevant positioning where the entity is centering gang stalking by the Ontario International Airport, where there's no terminals, and the city of Ontario is fully engaged in what is a failed effort in secretly targeting someone in a manner that they could never prove in order to falsely depict that person's character. They are shown to be the wildly corrupt and maniacal psychopaths who are mentally ill and corrupt, engaging in a targeting system and what is a failure, a widely publicized failure in stealing via fake conservatorships like what Tracy Banks has. 7 UED 659. The entity is maintaining a relevant positioning, engaging what is, I took a picture of it, you'll see police training. It's relevant positioning. The fake sun is right over my head. And by the way, yesterday, it was over me earlier at the U.S. Bank where the police department that's engaging in gang stalking and calling it police training under a fake sun is stalking one person. And that's why, again, because they have a failure of priorities and incapable of being trusted, engaging in what is criminal activity, not law enforcement, they're being removed from existence as a department. And they're being removed from law enforcement as well. And they're going to federal prison. The entity is maintaining the fake sun at C Street and Euclid, where the entity is stalking with commercial planes taking off here, but they're also going farther northwest to maintain lower elevation and delay taking off, which is, again, I guess, supposed to be a tour that they provide before they take off from the into the sky space and proceed to the destination. It's very highly unintelligent. It's obvious, especially in the specific environment, and it is in concert with the entity that did the exact same thing at the Ontario City Hall. The entity is doing nothing other than being in this would be west of the Family Community Library. Yesterday, as I'm documenting, and the fake sun, the timing of it. Remember, I leave, the fake sun's over the Unicare Healthcare Center. The fake sun's over me at the U.S. Bank, where the police department flew in circles over by helicopter as I'm documenting damning evidence of that same department at 12:51 p.m. gang stalking with UPS at that same bank, but I'm there at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that documentation, that video, all of that's on the internet. The entity has the fake sun, again, when it's after 10 a.m. when I leave Starbucks, and the fake sun never left from being at that sidewalk window where demons are pacing, especially as I show you the images of gang stalkers working for Starbucks. Starbucks is revealed as the people of the state. Starbucks is revealed as a sex offender, and Starbucks hires sex offenders who are demon-possessed, engaged in what is this gang stalking system, which is embedded throughout society in the state of California. 7YIS 162, this is where the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, who are being disbanded. And for their obsession with my vagina, that's also why they are being disbanded. 8VCC 907, 9SZX 882, 7WOG 611, 7NEB 110, 5NWZ 879, and inside of this parking garage, engineer light above my head, dynamic engineer light, just like you see inside of Starbucks, just like you see on the wall of the TABOR professional building, when these same demons are stalking, pacing all around in a specific environment, not traffic, not minding their business, focused on me, know exactly who I am, and are stalking as I go from place to place with the Ontario Police Department that are being disbanded for it. D650E1, and they're doing it now because they're just going to federal prison. They've lost the endeavor, the campaign to gang stalk me, falsely depict my character so that they can steal my property under a criminally procured conservatorship, because that's not happening. 8GTZ597, license 56088M2. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:13 a.m. All right, this is the parking garage where the entity is gang stalking by commercial planes. The Ontario Police Department is in relevant position, engaging in that POC. This is engineered light that is above my head. Impossible light activity has the pattern of this net, this metal mesh gate. That's impossible light activity. The fake sun is outside above the building. It's directly above my head, as a matter of fact, because as you've seen, it follows where I go. That's why it's not already over the Family Community Library, where I'm documenting on video at the Ontario City Hall, the entity gang stalking. I'm at the U.S. Bank, again, during the 9 a.m. hour, and I have already progressed documenting on video Corey Watson providing evidence against himself and the people of the state. This is all impossible light activity. Where you're in that environment, you are intentionally so. These are demons who are monitoring, and they're doing doing so with the Ontario Police Department, and the Ontario Police know exactly what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what it is that I'm doing on my device as well, based on your knowledge of what is impossible light activity. This is what the Ontario International Airport were gang stalking with at the Aegis Treatment Center last night. When you see them deviating from an airport, just like they are here, flying over me while the fake sun is over me, and the Ontario Police are in relevant position gang stalking, calling it police training under the fake sun and an engineer light, and you saw flashing of light in the dark, where you saw double shadows as the pattern of conduct with regard to criminal monitoring by the demon possessed that are maintaining stalking in a demonic environment. This is crossing path in one body after another. This is pacing. The spirit of Satan using each vessel, and they're crossing path. This is what Satan is doing, okay? And this is what, as a group, they're doing it by maintaining as normal as the demon possessed can by walking as a group. Traffic, ongoing group conduct, presence in the building, all they're doing is stalking, okay? And this is all impossible light activity, all of it. This is the entity that is stalking with light. This is on the floor, and then you have it again on the wall. This is all engineered light. You can put my hand in it. This is magnified size. And here's the fake sun here. It has nothing to do with this light activity that's on the wall, by the way. So let me show you impulse. All right, this is evidence disbanding the Ontario Police Department. They're not only unintelligent, they're corrupt, and they're engaged in criminal monitoring. And this criminal monitoring was supposed to aid Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields in maintaining a false marriage, a fake marriage, a criminally procured conservatorship, where the entity that's engaging in stalking with engineer light, under a fake sun, using the most spectacular means, unprecedented means, psychopathic means of stalking using planes and helicopters, a whole police department, just to steal money. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted for that. Everything that's happening in this venue, including walking, is criminal monitoring that the Ontario Police is being prosecuted for. The entity is engaging in this, and the Ontario Police is being disbanded. This is exposing a satanic targeting system where the so-called secret society engages in what is criminally defaming American citizens while gang stalking with the population. And that population is being documented on my podcast, on my website, on my YouTube channel, and this is going to be the prosecution of the state of California. And Tracy Banks is going to federal prison, so is Jason Knighton, so are gang stalking pilots of the Ontario International Airport. Alan D. Wapner is being removed from position, so is Paul Leon, and the entire Ontario City Council that's engaging in this corrupt system, which is a part of what is an ongoing system. This is not an accident, this is speaking to intent. And the Ontario Police Department are right across the street where the fake sun is remaining present, as I documented them gang stalking by helicopter on June 6, 2025, where the fake sun that you see here is still here on the opposite side of the same parking garage as I move, and the entity is stalking by helicopter, harassing and terrorizing by helicopter, and that fake sun is directly over me where they're right now at the corner of the fake church, VOS Church at C and Euclid, while the entity is maintaining that fake sun at 6:10 p.m. like I documented on video on June 3rd, 2025. This is the entity that is stalking with light. This is entirely demonic. You can see the bushes outside. This is demonic, and these are demons that are present in this environment. This is revealing demonic activity. Amongst this demonic activity is criminal monitoring, it's surveillance, and it's underway in the country, because what you also know is that the current time is 10:17 a.m. 1:17 p.m. in Florida, in New York, on the East Coast, and in Texas, which is 2 hours ahead of us. This is not the same light source. You're surrounded by this specific environment. Criminal surveillance is underway in this country, and corruption, as I'm exposing it, is a pattern and practice throughout this country where we are under surveillance and we don't even know it, and the civilian population is engaging in it. That population that's stalking with police officers, the federal policy is going to be that they go to prison. The entity is targeting with the intent to murder and kidnap. They want to steal property from me. They're not stealing it. And not only that, the evidence is going to diagnose them. This level of malice is diabolical. This level of malice by a government is unprecedented, and it requires justice, which is going to include disbanding of the kidnappers that are the Ontario Police, monitoring my vagina in the bathroom of every venue in Ontario, while sex offenders, who are the people of the state in this environment, are stalking in the restrooms. Okay, this is entirely demonic, and it's impossible, absolutely impossible. While the entity is providing evidence, that obvious engagement in criminal conduct where your secrecy is gone, where you're clearly providing blatant evidence of criminal conduct, where you're not going to achieve what is stealing property from me, and no criminally procured or fraudulently procured secret conservatorship is going to work, you are mentally ill. Every gang stalking demon in helicopter, you're subject to federal prison. Every kidnapper, Nathan, Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are going to federal prison. Everybody engaging in what is criminal summoning, such as the entity that is acting via Corporal Tedosky, federal prison. This is the engineer light that's moving across my person at nightfall, where they're stalking by helicopter last night. The Ontario Police Department, they're gang stalking me. It's not about police training. This is what you need to understand. And they're going to be disbanded for the corruption that I have exposed throughout the investigation of the state of California. Because not only are they highly unintelligent, they're not elite. They're not crafty or intelligent, sophisticated, none of that. They are literally bare bones criminals. They're sex offenders. They're stalkers. They are psychopaths. And by the way, that mental illness is exhibited through this ridiculous, wacky, Looney Tune cartoon environment, which is obviously incriminating, because this is exactly what you're going to assess when you're prosecuting for criminal monitoring, a matter of public corruption. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently 10:19 a.m. and the fake sun is remaining over me as I document at this venue, Ovid Family Community Library. I documented at 6:20 p.m. and the entity keeps the fake sun over the same entrance I documented yesterday upon my exit at 5 p.m. where the entity is stalking. They go into the bathroom to maintain presence and engineer light, while the entity is maintaining presence outside, stalking in planes and helicopters, keeping my vagina under surveillance. Because of that sexual violence, the Ontario Police is being disbanded. Because of kidnapping upon gang stalking, the Ontario Police is being disbanded. Because they're engaging in things such as police training while they're gang stalking, that corruption, and facilitating it with the whole population in furtherance of murder, kidnapping, and theft, and a failure to defame anybody, including me, they're being disbanded. It is currently 10:20 a.m. Let me show you the fake sun again. That's crossing path light activity. You're understanding the significance of the environment that these fools, these imbeciles engage in plain view. It's under a fake sun. That is an identifier, because it has nothing to do with this impossible light activity. This is demonic. This is P.O.C. License 6TLR179, 8XTS381, 6PRW473, 7CBU951, 9DOE505, 6VYH160. That's the Ontario Town Square. That's City of Ontario. That is gang stalking. That's a venue. 280 North Limit Apartments. This is a venue. Gang stalking while the entity is maintaining amplified audible activity. License 9SQN719. That's relevant to where I'm at. Crossing path. License 7DAK444. 8XRY860. Crossing path. License plate DE93T01. That's a paper plate on an old Civic. License 8XRY860, 8WDF131, 9STA510. Brightview, license 2152804. Brightview is also a third-party company, so you prosecute the company, you prosecute the third party operating that company vehicle. 7JUX975, amplified audible activity louder the more that I document, that's a threat. J696HO. And the fake sun's gonna be over me at what is B Street in Euclid. This is the entity, they're all threatening together, they're gonna be prosecuted. 7MEG843, these are the maniacs that are not stealing any property from me. Their mental illness is gonna be at the forefront of their prosecution. And the Ontario Police Department is using what is police training as the guise of the same exact gang stalking. While you're listening to that incriminating activity creation, because you cannot hear the Ontario train at that volume and everywhere in the city like I've documented. License 1493746, vehicle 5032, the municipality gang stalking. 7MEG843, 7MUE916. The fake sun is over me as I'm facing Metro 102 apartments. That's a demon crossing path on a skateboard. It's audible activity, light activity. B Street and Lemon. Crossing path. This is meeting. This is what they do at the Starbucks drive-thru. This is called meeting. The fake sun is giving you indication of a demon that's stalking. Also monitoring my vagina. 12007. That's a California plate. License 9TGF498. These are demons who are pacing, going in opposite directions. This is what Satan is doing, pacing all around me, stalking. I'll show you the fake sun over me. It's right now, it's 1:03 p.m. 4POL663. Just one demon after another off the precipice. 7BBJ372. Just one demon after another. And that's why, again, a gang stalking police department engaging in kidnapping, that's why disbanding is mandatory. It's not even negotiable. Like, it's not negotiable. 8V66206. That's amplified noise. 8RXG869. 7TQM468. That's QM468. United States Postal Service, nothing new. They're gang stalking at Metro 102. Metro 102 apartments. License plate 7RWC035.
DZ80H73, that's on a white Tesla and it's a paper plate. And I'm looking at the train that is in motion, a Union Pacific Railroad train, which that's demonic, as you heard that train activity. It's as demonic as the fake sun still being over me at OVID. License 9RME459. 8BXY907. This is revealing the reality of the demon possessed, the reality of demonic activity, the unveiling of what are illusions that are right in front of your face. And you're going to prosecute the demon possessed that engage in targeting American citizens. And doing so through the use of illusions. That means engaging in things that people have never heard of while you're being targeted, and it's supposed to create the illusion of mental illness. And the entity is going to be prosecuted for its actual mental illness of this psychopathic pattern of conduct that's practiced by a population, a government. And also you're going to prosecute based on how the natural order of things, the audible activity. You're going to prosecute based on light activity, the natural order of things, the sun, the natural order of things. 7ZKV558, and the entity is going to be prosecuted for the obvious stalking by the government. All right, and the obvious stalking by a population. 9GPY668, which is shown through the use of their own illusions. This is Satan that's being prosecuted for being the maniacal psychopath that's targeting a child of God. And you're witnessing judgment worldwide. You're witnessing Satan being judged. License 8YBP004. It is currently, by the way, 1:05 p.m. While I'm capturing the fake sun like I did at B Street and Lemon, it's not over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Don't forget that. 9PKX520. They're all stalking. 8UUV627. They're not ignorant about that. This is the environment where they're all stalking. This is the significance of what I've been documenting from the beginning. 8XKE771. But again, and I understand that I'm not bitter, but I understand that you have to prosecute by what you can prove, not just what you know. So the P.O.C. is necessarily years-long documentation in order to not only prove it, but prove that there is no anomaly, there is no exception, there is no variance from the truth that I spoke from the very beginning. This population is gang stalking, this population is demon possessed, and this is a threat to the public. These are psychopaths roaming around free, hiding in plain sight. DSNA 678. 7E HL923, 8VEN 899, 59802F1. That's a commercial vehicle. 7CTC 937, 7WWF 635. They're not ignorant. While the fake sun, this is an indicator that nobody else was supposed to know about, and you were never supposed to believe me. I was supposed to be discarded. Satan planned on murdering me. I'm supposed to be dead already. I'm also supposed to be locked up in a facility where my life would have been mysteriously just taken. And then you would have believed the government that claimed that I did it to myself, that I threatened someone, whatever. That's how that was supposed to go. It's not going that way. I'm exposing Satan and I'm going to prosecute him. And Satan is currently going by the name Ontario Police Department, and those sex offenders are being removed from law enforcement. They're a threat to the public. Those are murderers. They're pedophiles. They're stalkers. They are literally mentally ill, and that is no hyperbole. I've already demonstrated the fact that I do not exaggerate. I don't say things that I cannot prove with evidence. And I'm letting you know based on the evidence that I've already provided regarding this criminal pattern of conduct. And you have the demon-possessed Satan that is using, like puppets, the people who are working for the Ontario Police Department. And this level of stalking to engage in using helicopters to stalk. And I'm one person. I'm a woman. I'm 5'5", and I'm also a law-abiding citizen, a productive member of society at that. Not that even if somebody's a drug dealer. No police department should be gang stalking anyone. They don't have a right to do it at all. This entity, these are psychopaths, and they commit murder and they get away with it. They commit criminal activity and they get away with it. They're being disbanded because they kidnapped the person that is, again, myself, in order to expose it and remove one less band of demons, psychopaths, criminals. It is currently 1:08 p.m. This P.O.C., this is documentation of the entity following me from place to place. All
right, you will see the light source directly over the top of my head while the people of the state are essentially escorting me in and out, meeting in the path. That's what they do at the Starbucks driveway. That's what I mean. And it's psychopathic because a bunch of demons are acting like they're not focused on you. And it's a poor act as I show you the ridiculous environment that I'm surrounded by and their ridiculous behavior. And it's exhibiting severe mental illness. 8WYV208, 9CZV194, 8WWU265, and it's 1:34 p.m. 35090M3. The group of bandits gang stalking at the Andy's Burgers, stalking in the path, literally waiting for me to walk toward the door. Stalkers. These are the ones monitoring my vagina. 9114782. 8EWF074. Bad advertisement for U.S.C. 88692B3. 9JNP370. And this is again B&G Plaza. The documentation shows the fake sun over this plaza from morning until evening. Sunrise, sunset documentation. 8MSK598. 5DEB676. And inside of the cafe, they're all psychopaths stalking, monitoring, harassing while impossible light flies inside of the venue. 7X94345, 7VQG898, and a whole bunch of demons listen to you chew, monitoring while you blink. Listening to your digestive system. These are demons that are stalking. Okay, license plate 6EBJ404, I believe. This is P.O.C. The fake sun that's over me at this Andy's Burgers. The receipt is uploaded to the Google Drive showing the address. This is it's 310 West Hope Boulevard. Or 310 East Hope Boulevard. It's on Hope Boulevard in Plum. I have so much documentation coming from the museum to the plaza to the library to Stater Brothers up and down Hope, where the entity engaged in keeping the fakes on Hope Boulevard from morning until evening. And this population of demons stalking, following from place to place. And then it expands as I get on Omnitrans and I go to different cities. And this is again the birthing of the P.O.C. license. DC 680, handicap, City of Ontario 1677757. And what's going to be dealt with is that the municipal workers, gang stalkers, approved by the mayor, the corrupt mayor, stalking with impossible light. This ridiculous, engaging in criminal summoning, stalking with the police and the fire departments in the airport. This is exactly what's going to be addressed with this system of corruption that's being exposed. They're just freely engaging in terrorism while this demon-possessed population that's no longer secretly existing is exposed for the inclination to target American citizens in furtherance of murder and kidnapping, wanting to kidnap you in order to steal property from you. 8XOJ727, like the Ontario Police Department has, like the people of the state of California have, and they're turning over back my property. And there are corrupt judges and attorneys and third parties who are going to prison. 9HJP686, driving with their flasher on. 8NLH689, and that's malice. That's the intent to harm while they drive with their flashes on. License 9NGU325. License 8TWM867. You get a lot of perspective when you realize everyone on the freeway is focused on you. Literally the movement and the braking pattern, the buildup of traffic, it's not what we've been told it is. It's literally based upon the targeted individual. When they're aware of every move I'm making inside of my car, everywhere that I'm going, even as you use your GPS, but even as they're monitoring and you don't use GPS, this is the demon-possessed entity, and this is Satan that's operating over people who are together, and it gives you perspective, and it's also a form of psychological torture. 7KCJ777, because that's really sick that everybody on a freeway is actually focused on you in the direction that you're going and interested in hurrying up or getting out of your way in order for you to proceed or to delay, which build up in traffic. Everybody on their brakes based on whatever it is, the same monitoring conduct on a freeway under the fake sun and an engineer light. It's very sick. It's very disturbing. And this is the reality of government monitoring. It's currently, by the way, let me get the time, 1:39 p.m. and this is P.O.C. (8EWU850) gang stalking with Paul Leon, who's right in the city hall where the fake sun is over me and demons are in the parking lot. outside of the state facilitating me to this government building in relevant position. Everybody working for the city of Ontario is gang stalking me right now, engaging in domestic terrorism and psychological torture, engaging in the sex offense of molesting me with impossible light while that demon with that license plate crosses path, which you'll also see in images uploaded to the Google Drive at 1:42 p.m. The city of Ontario is gang stalking. Remember, the fake sun is over me in the presence of the to-be disbanded Ontario Fire Department, who sound sirens, and the Ontario Police Department, and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, who are using the College of Law, University of Laverne, their guise of gang stalking by having an event under the fake sun, stalking me as an institution. Understand, the fake sun remains over me, so you are stalking. You're understanding how this terrorism operates, and they're doing that at 10 in the morning. It's 1:42 in the afternoon, and the fake sun is over me at the same venue. License 6FHW334, 8HRG290. 9MWR903, 5SSK313, gang stalking at Starbucks as well. License 7JHA477, 9GYJ142 is the demon that walks right into the Ontario City Hall while she is, again, thinking that she's cleverly stalking in the path. You'll see her brake lights on as I am standing across the street at a distance. And you also know that she knows who I am and she's targeting me because I keep documenting this pattern of being in the path with light, and what's over my head is the fake sun. These are demons that do that. And that demon walked right into the Ontario City Hall, where the demon Paul Leon, he's going to be ripped from the position that he's been sitting on as a gang stalking mayor. All right, where murders and kidnappings and criminal activity is concealed, where targeting American citizens is ongoing through the entity that is every level of government in Ontario, in the state, because Ontario is a gang stalker. License DN294, handicap, 4FJCO28, 5VYS922, and the evidence against the Ontario City Hall, the City of Ontario, Paul Leon, and the Ontario Gang Stalking City Council. I've been at this same parking lot, the same venue, 7, 8, 9 in the morning, just like I was yesterday at 10. 7 RUC 194, impossible light all across the vehicles while he's stalking in the parking lot. 7YJL 687, 7EKD 446, 9BKH 863, KHANYE 7KYH961, 26882P1, 7GXA 687, 6PMC 365, 9DTM 582, 8SHU 932, 004MX, that's a demon giving a poor advertisement for the U.S. Army. Nobody is going to be accepted from the prosecution of the state. All right, the entity is engaged in this P.O.C, this old biddy, 7YJL 687 with 3 chins. And liver spots is gang stalking with impossible light, dragging across the vehicle, just like 7RUC194, the identical pattern of conduct while the sun's over the top of my head. 8JUS915, 7RKK192, 6ZZS020. And Paul Leon's criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct is hereby being documented, just like it was yesterday, just like it was last week, just like it was last year, just like it was when I was in Los Angeles. 9JQV010, JJ083. Another gang stalking veteran of the United States Air Force, SN354, handicap, 7GYU399, Heart UJZUS. No, they don't. 5ZVM135, 7DDU524, 6WFK900, 7ZAE791, 7MXX372, 385ZD, handicap, 3KEL078, 5TRL846, 6UTX661. Let me show you the fake sun over me while I'm in the parking lot of the Ontario City Hall at 1:45 p.m. And P.O.C is crossing path monitoring, CVT 3038, Arizona. Gang stalking while the entity sounds plane engines, where there's no takeoff that we're going to hear over here at the Senior Center at the City Hall, where it's taking off at 2900 Airport Road. But then again, they provided video of the Ontario International Airport gang stalking me with Paul Leon at a City Hall, a government building, yesterday at 10 in the morning. 9JXJ443. Those are the unintelligent demons that are going to be prosecuted comprehensively for conspiring to steal from me by gang stalking and thinking that that was going to make me appear mentally ill, and it doesn't. What it does, though, is it provides what is a legal framework under federal law to diagnose and prosecute corrupt officials,
the corrupt civilian population for engaging and participating in this criminal pattern of conduct, which is domestic terrorism. 8 UUC 637, impossible light all across the building of 280 North Lemon Apartments. All these old people are gang stalking with the City of Ontario that's flying over its apartment building at all manner of time of day and night. 7 WVU 612. City of Ontario, license 1497510, vehicle 4196. License 7 WAV 263. While the fake sun is over me in the parking lot of the Ontario City Hall, those demons that are on video gang stalking in Ontario Police Department vehicles yesterday morning, engaging in criminal summoning, they are subject to federal prison, like I documented, like the evidence supports. Inevitable and conclusive evidence of the criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. Kidnapping just like Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook committed on May 29, 2025. All right, this is the P.O.C. Unity is maintaining ongoing activity creation while I am standing in between the Ontario Senior Center and the Open Film and Community Library, where the Ontario International Airport provides evidence as to why Paul Leon's being removed from office. It's 1:48 p.m. All right, the demons that are monitoring my evidence, just like they are monitoring my vagina, they're engaging in what is stalking with plane activity while they're, again, that knee-jerk conduct, knowing that I'm going to go up in the sky and get this fake sun that is behind where it was when I was at 10 o'clock in the morning. It was at the entrance, the walkway entrance. As I'm arriving at 10 in the morning, I took the video inside of this parking garage where the fake sun is over that parking garage at 6 p.m. And I'm at the entrance at around 10:18, 10:19 a.m. I am behind the entrance and it is 1:48 p.m. This is where the entity is gang stalking. Ontario Police engaged in what is police training, right in relevant position, where you see where they're gang stalking with everybody that I just documented with Paul Leon at the City Hall. This is where the entity was engaged in gang stalking at the City Hall yesterday at 10 in the morning. This is, again, the specific environment where LAPD is gang stalking as a matter of evidence as well, while it's remaining over me in Los Angeles at the same time of year. This is exposing the demon possessed, who are engaged in a criminal pattern of conduct, monitoring, which is surveillance committed by the government. And in Ontario, these demons, referring to themselves as an Ontario Police Department, are being disbanded. This is all pacing. The tow truck is light activity. These are demons engaging in the identical pattern of conduct. And who are they stalking? The one whom nature defies in order to stalk under a fake sun. That's who the demons are stalking. The fake sun is outside of that, while I'm inside of that parking garage, and engineer lights all over that ceiling. Don't forget that when you're looking at what is a demon stalking with light activity and using a business to do so. That's called malice. And it's also the outward demonstration of demon possession, which is directly relevant to mental illness when you're prosecuting the state. And I've documented for years corrupt businesses gang stalking with the state. And that's Exhibit A. This is the entity that is engaged in that P.O.C. So let me show you the entrance where the fake sun deviated to be behind the same venue where it was. I'm capturing it over the elevator window this morning as I walk into the venue. I'm capturing it at the entrance, showing the Ovid Family Community Library. Demons that are going to go walk right into the Ontario City Hall, where Paul Leon is gang stalking, where Alan D. Wapner maintains a corrupt position, gang stalking in the City of Ontario with the people of the state, public corruption, which is a basis to be immediately removed upon engaging in what is gang stalking. The entity is, and that's how federal policy is going to go. But the entity is engaging in this. This is crossing paths while the fake sun is over me. That's a stalker. That's understanding and recognizing it immediately. There's no mystery. These are demons who are pacing the two vehicles, the two persons, the flashing light, the fake sun over my head. P.O.C. The absence of any terminals, and this is City of Ontario. They will be going to federal prison. They engage in criminal summoning with the Ontario Police. They're monitoring with the police right now, while the entity sounds plane activity under the same circumstances this morning. The fake sun right here, where the Ontario International Airport, gang stalking, using planes where there's no terminal, engaging in what is facilitating criminal activity. And the City of Ontario's gang stalking is why the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. And this is the malice. This is the actual mental illness by the entity, the corrupt
judges engaging in what is a fraudulent means of maintaining a secret conservatorship, those are mentally ill psychopaths, and you know that as a matter of evidence, not just based upon the ways in which they totally deviated from the way that the courts operate in order to create a conservatorship, outside of my knowledge, outside of my consent, outside of my participation, know nothing about it, know nothing about even the property that these demons have already stolen, that which they also intended to further steal the rest of it, and then discard me in doing so. They're mentally ill. It's relevant for the it's relevant for the diagnosing of psychopaths. The corrupt judges, the corrupt attorneys, you need to know that they're demons, and they're gang stalking in the state of California, and they do so abusing their positions in corrupt courthouses, like the San Bernardino Superior Court, like the Rancho Cucamonga District Court, where I'm documenting the fake sun over me, just like you see here, where the entity is maintaining the fake sun over this same parking garage at 10 o'clock, and I'm at the same entrance, and you're looking at the same circumstance, where the Ontario International Airport are full of, again, demons that are unintelligent. This is Satan that's pacing amongst multiple bodies. This is demonic activity. Going right into the corrupt venue, which is what you're going to prosecute. The corrupt venue engaging in federal stalking, criminal surveillance. Paul Leon has no constitutional authority to engage in surveillance. He doesn't have any constitutional authority to do it through the various departments of the city of Ontario. He doesn't have any authority to do it under the state and federal constitutions with the people of the state. And these are the demons that are stalking in the bathroom, monitoring my vagina on behalf of the city of Ontario that's obsessively stalking me, and failed in creating the illusion of mental illness in order to steal property that belongs to me. What's actually going to happen is that the population is going to be diagnosed. They're going to be placed in mental asylums. They're going to be placed in federal prison. I'm going to prosecute corrupt businesses like the AAA, I-10 Towing, Starbucks, Avanath Capital Management, Speaker Companies Incorporated. I'm going to prosecute the entity that's engaging in facilitating with the population surveillance and furtherance of murdering and kidnapping me. All right, and that includes state actors like Union Pacific. Okay, it is currently 1:53 p.m. and there's no sun that will remain over the city hall from 10, 11, 12, 1. It's 1:53 p.m. That's 4 hours. And this is exposing why Paul Leon is being removed from office. This is P.O.C. 8 UVM 665. And this is, by the way, the same circumstance when the fake sun is over this parking garage at 6 p.m. And this is how you know that everybody in this building is stalking, and this venue is going to be treated as a stalker. The establishment itself is stalking, monitoring, in concert with the government, as you're understanding the malicious system of gang stalking. Okay? This is P.O.C. Audible activity, fake sun, engineered light, psychopath, license 7YL8801. That's a Caucasian male. This is, again, somebody that's looking to the left and right and still obsessively stalking, willing to take that federal case, 7MLH709. And this is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded, because this is what they're sharing and encouraging and participating. They're relying on it. Monitoring my vagina, they're relying on them stalking in bathrooms. They're being disbanded. It is currently, again, 1:54 p.m. No sun is going to be over this parking garage at 6:20 p.m. like I documented just the other day. This is P.O.C. This is the same entrance. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, you are witnessing ongoing obsession and delusion. This is relevant to the mental illness. The entity is engaged in criminal activity, but you're witnessing the fact that not only engaged in criminal activity, the criminal activity is relevant to surveillance. So these are criminals that know that they have been caught, and their criminal pattern of conduct is a matter of public information, and yet they're still engaging in what is stalking me everywhere that I'm going. That's relevant to the ways in which their mindset is going to be put at the forefront of their prosecution when it is individualized under their government names. It's also relevant to disbanding corrupt police departments that are relying on a mentally sick population to stalk someone day and night, to do so in the ways in which I have proven, stalking with light, which is happening on a massive scale under a fake sun that I just documented on video, remaining over the same entrance that it was at 10 in the morning. It's 1:57 p.m. The I-10 towing is the malicious pattern of conduct engaged in by the people of the state, where the government is relying on the mask, the cover that's supposed to be provided by the people who are engaging in what is supposed to be more important than a targeted individual's allegations of being gang stalked. It's supposed to be as it's supposed to be more legitimate than the target individual's claims that strangers are stalking them. And this is speaking to the malice of the entity. And you're going to be prosecuted by business name. You're going to be prosecuted as third parties operating them. And you're witnessing mental illness as I document them stalking me as a population. And so is Ovid Family Community Library, 215 E.C. Street in Ontario, California. And this is the disbanding of the Ontario Police and the prosecution of the state of California. It's 1:58 p.m. This is P.O.C. A bunch of psychopaths are sitting in the library stalking me. They're stalking with noise, they're monitoring every physical movement, monitoring everything I'm doing on my communication devices, and feigning being employees focused on the circulation desk, focusing on looking up books, and they're stalking in the path. They're looking up books, they're working on the computer, they're walking around talking, using their computers and engineer light, and they're doing it in the building under the fake sun with the government that just flew over far from any airport using what is commercial planes and obvious admission of stalking by the state. It's currently 1:58 p.m. This is exposing mental illness. P.O.C. License 7DRF261 DE93T01 and the VIN number. This is a paper plate on a Honda Civic, a black Honda Civic, and the VIN number is 2 Henry George Frank Charlie 2 Frank 5. Looks like 1 Henry 638602. It does state that it expires June 22nd, 2025. This is driven by what appears to be a Latina female. Obsessively stalking, defiantly stalking, and this is exactly what federal law is going to address. The entity that's willing to continuously target an American citizen in the face of federal law streaming down on them. That's exactly what is that sort of maniacal conduct, that mental illness is what is going to be honed in on at a prosecution. This is, again, government conduct, and this is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded as well. License 9MGP641. License 9MFC017, and the AAA I-10 tow. Let me get the name of the company. This looks like the phone number is 909-445-9595. It's a California number 593812. That's the California business license number, and this is the I-10 Towing and Recovery. Looks like a subsidiary of AAA. And the license plate, they're engaged in light activity, relevant positioning, and the entity is providing audible activity by flying over by commercial planes and sounding the sound of the train, which is supposed to be Union Pacific, which is, again, demonic. It's terrorism. It's also terrorism while they're stalking in the path with flashing light in the specific environment. And it's also relevant that they're being documented, meaning they're targeting somebody that knows what they're doing. And that is also speaking to a level of malice and an intolerable threat, an impermissible one, to put it in terms of the policy that I advocate. In order to prosecute domestic terrorism. This tow truck license plate 61894M2, and they are gang stalking, as the tow truck is a means of picking up the vehicle that is in the C street turn circle in relevant position, creating light activity in the same exact specific environment, and there are no circumstances where you will be accepted from a federal prosecution. This is called malice, and it's not going to be based on whether the car is actually out of commission. It's not going to be based on whether the tow actually charged them for their services. It's going to be based on criminal monitoring, which the government is engaging in by the services of the company. And substantively, this is public corruption at work, and this is malice. The entity is engaging in what is creating the circumstances in order to engage in monitoring. And there is no, this would be more persuasive if the population didn't already engage in what is molestation with impossible light, if they didn't already engage in a pattern of criminal summoning, if they didn't already engage in a pattern of making false allegations, strangers that I haven't even met, so why are you even making stuff up about me? At least use somebody that I've seen before, and then at least come up with something that, but this is why you document, and the entity has already shown its true identity. You're going to prosecute, and there are no factual circumstances that are going to deviate from this prosecution. It is a straightforward prosecution. So tow truck picking up a vehicle out of commission under the fake sun is going to be prosecuted. It's the same P.O.C. And this license plate, I documented it. It is, again, 5GXP933. And License plate 32655T3 and 8TNZ684. PILTSWF. This is the same population gang stalking where I sleep at night, molesting with impossible light, and then you're supposed to be forgetful of that. You're supposed to individualize the crime committed by the government with an entity and separate a tow truck scene from the ongoing pattern of conduct under a fake sun and an engineered light with a government that's clearly targeting with a corrupt police department, with a corrupt airport, with a corrupt fire department, and the entity is doing so again under implausible and with regard to the lack of intelligence, the lack of an actual strategy, the lack of any planning for this to be exposed. And you're seeing them show the maniacal, psychopathic mind state that a population engaging in gang stalking, that is the demon possessed, that they are concealing, and it's no longer concealed. That's relevant to diagnosis, and they are including minor children in that pattern of conduct, as I've also shown. It is embedded into society. It is currently 2:07 p.m. The P.O.C. continues right inside of the venue.
9NHR832, molesting, and so is 8LGD160, both going into the parking garage where I'm documenting the fake sun and that engineer light all over the ceiling. They're gang stalking with the city of Ontario that's flying over, pacing over the Ontario Town Square, stalking in the path as I walk out of the Ovitt Family Community Library, where all of the employees of the Ovitt Family Community Library are gang stalking. It is currently 9:02, and this is the entity, the people of the state gang stalking via traffic. Oh, these are sex offenders molesting with light while they're monitoring. And this is all state action. License 9ML, oh, I can't really see that one. It's currently, again, 9:02 p.m. So I'm walking where the entity is stalking from place to place. This is documentation of an entity engaging in gang stalking, which is the evidence of prosecution for a government stalking an American citizen, engaging in gang stalking, and this is following from place to place, literally the evidence, the ongoing documentation of a government following me as I go everywhere that I go, including as I go into restrooms. And this is as I'm walking north, leaving Ovitt Family Community Library, and the entity is stalking, leaving the library, and walking now what will be north on Euclid Avenue, where the entity kept the fake sun on the same street all day. P.O.C. It's 9:08 a.m. Excuse me, 9:03 p.m. All right, stalking with light in the path, license 8NUX859. This is terrorism while the demon possessed stalk you everywhere and going around aiming light and molesting you with light. These are psychopaths that are also communicating a threat, and the government's going to be prosecuted, and so are the people, for terrorism. 7MYM280 53831H3. License plate, and you'll see the images that I'm uploading to the Google Drive. The demon possessed, it's nighttime, so again, on the surface you're going to say, oh well, yes, of course you need light, it's dark, so you can see, you're looking at the context. The demon possessed are monitoring in an engineered environment, and stalking with light is occurring during the day under a whole fake sun. 8ZOL489. It's not about vision to see, it's about criminal monitoring, and I have multiple shadows where you're looking at a demon stalking in the path on a motorbike. You're looking at demons under the age of majority, a group of them that start aiming their light. They arrive out of nowhere, by the way. Don't even see them walking down the street. The demon possessed are engaged in stalking, hardcore stalking. They arrive out of nowhere, especially with regard to maintaining presence in the path. The demons are engaging with a stalking with light at the U.S. bank right now. That's somebody that will be on the cameras of the ATM. They're stalking in the path with light activity at the intersection. And the people of the state whose license plate I just documented are engaging in that federal offense of gang stalking as well. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct together. As their co-defendants engage in it, they're going to be prosecuted as well. And you're also going to be prosecuted with regard to the malice behind gang stalking in the first place. License 6BOD578. Gang stalking with the demon that's at the bank, stalking in the path maliciously, using the bank as a venue, like Starbucks as a venue, to gang stalk me. That's the purpose of what they're doing in a specific environment. And when you have four shadows, light is not used to see your path in the dark. Light is used with regard to the demon possessed who are monitoring. With the Ontario International Airport that continuously provides evidence against the people of the state who are gang stalking with the city of Ontario. It's currently 9:08 p.m. P.O.C. All right, light activity maintained at ARCO at 434 North Euclid Avenue.
License 9GZA346, that's driven by looks like a Latino male, an olive-skinned male, dark black hair, 7THU809. Again, they begin driving off as I arrive. They begin pulling into the gas station as I arrive. It's activity creation. And the entity is engaging, even if they're sitting there the entire time that you're walking down the street, they're stalking in the path with a method of light aimed at you. And they have abnormally powerful headlights as well. License 7LDT539, meeting, that's stalking, meeting at the street, making sure your path is never unobstructed. License 6NYD346, that's Chevron. License 8EIG647, that is again Chevron, coming onto the path, stalking, 60611R2. Latino male, black truck, wearing a backwards black cap, at 9:10 p.m. gang stalking me in doing so. It is currently 9:10 p.m. at Chevron, where these businesses are engaged in the P.O.C. with the people of the state that are using their businesses as venues. All right, a sex offender. This is a terrorist, and this is the plain evidence of targeting demons that know exactly who I am, and I've never met them in my life. And it's dark time. It's dark. It's dark outside. Excuse me. It's nighttime, and as I'm walking down the street, I'm being accosted with light on my person and across my face, blinding light. That's not the result of headlights. This is stalking. Everything that they're doing is stalking. And this is the third-party license plate gang stalking via traffic. This is, again, federal stalking using the roads and the highways is irrelevant interstate commerce. The people of the state are going to be prosecuted for ongoing domestic terrorism. License 8RAC726. Substantially similar, that would be 8PAC726 or 8RAC726. This is the entity that's gang stalking me, meeting me at the path at what is F Street and Euclid, and a co-defendant is meeting on the opposite end, so they're pacing while they're doing so. Engineer light surrounds while you hear amplified audible activity. These are demons. These are the same demons that are monitoring my vagina. This is what Starbucks is engaging in. This is what Amelia, this is what Jackie, Alana, this is what Brian, this is what Seth and Saul and Basilio, this is what they're engaging in when they're monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. The same pattern of conduct that you're hearing while I'm walking outside, and these demons are molesting me with light that is impossible to naturally occur, clearly targeting, knowing exactly who I am while I'm documenting a supernatural pattern of conduct amongst a bunch of so-called strangers. Those so-called strangers are monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, and you know those gang stalkers' name. They're at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. And this morning, they included Vivian, they included Jackie, Alana, and the entity engaging in what is gang stalking me with Jasmine. Okay, and so that bathroom monitoring is relevant to this same exact entity. So while the entity is on one hand engaging in things like a psychopath, a coward that's at a distance, acting a fool with the amplified audible activity, don't forget about the sex offenders at Starbucks, because they're going to prison for monitoring my vagina systematically, monitoring and harassing and threatening me with the Ontario police. And you know exactly who they are. You know where they work. You also know their license plate numbers while they act as one entity with the identical pattern of conduct. And that's how you're going to prosecute a bunch of psychopaths who are cowards, thinking that one can run. You're not running away from anything. First of all, the entire state's being prosecuted. The government's being prosecuted. The police department's being disbanded. But beyond that, the entity's engaging in a pattern of conduct where you can tie this down to the demons at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity's keeping the fake sun all day. And you know those demons' names. Okay, and there's no running or hiding from that. Okay, this is again the reality of dealing with cowards who are gang stalking, because you're nothing but a coward when you're first of all, demons are cowards. They're very timid, fearful creatures. They rely on group conduct. They need support. License 8WBX164. And secondly, you're a coward engaging in gang stalking. You're a psychopath. You have serious issues on multiple levels. But one of the issues is going to be a federal prosecution for domestic terrorism in the United States. All right, it is currently 9:14 p.m. And so I read both of that license plate, either an R or a P. Substantially, I'm going to upload the images, and also the federal government that is watching is aware of the license plate. But this is my documentation. This is my my documentation efforts that I've been engaged in. So while my ongoing investigation is underway, my documentation is supplementary to what the federal government maintains and knowledge that they maintain. Anyway, it's currently 9:15 p.m.
This is P.O.C. the demon stalking on what is Laurel, where you saw the Ontario International Airport gang stalking on Laurel, and you saw flashing of light, multiple shadows. They're stalking in the dark with the same city of Ontario. The sex offender's license plate, lurking in the dark. A terrorist, license 8JLF350, lurking in the dark, stalking a woman. That mind state, that's a predator. And that's why the Ontario police is being disbanded. P.O.C. It's 9:15 p.m. All right, another sex offender crossing path, impossible light before they even cross path. It's not their headlights. License 6NBJ039. POC, sex offenders. It is 9:16 p.m. All right, what you'll see is a demon stalking in the path as I continue walking. This is what you're paying attention to, the stalking, the obstruction of the path, maintaining light. This is the ominous stalking in the dark. License plate 7KOZ048, driving a white Sienna, I believe, stalking in the path with light. License plate 9SKF064, and not stepping on the brakes either. That's a threat to my life, which is also, gang stalking is also a threat to my life. But they're doing so while they are monitoring and pressing on the brakes after they drive by me. But like I said, the entities, there are no accidents. There's no negligence where the entity is gang stalking. So this is an unlawful threat. That's assault with a deadly weapon. The entity is monitoring. They're not ignorant of my presence, and the specific environment is also going. This is how the feds can prosecute. You'll be given information about a so-called car accident, but you're talking about evidence of criminal surveillance. That is speaking to malice. There is no accident in that environment where surveillance is underway, where demons are stalking with light, where demons are stalking with activity. They're not accidentally hitting each other and killing people. They commit murder all the time, and they do it in concert with corrupt police departments like the Ontario Police. All right, and so I want to be clear, touching me with anything, including a vehicle, is murder. While you're engaging in what is very foolish, allowing me to document your license plate. That's assault with a deadly weapon that third party just committed, and they committed as an entity. Everything is committed as an entity. The government is acting through a bunch of imbeciles who are going to be prosecuted as the government because they're acting with the government that's corrupt. Everything that comes out of their mouth, everything that they do. POC. It is currently 9:18 p.m. Again, that was a black Mercedes engaging what is speeding toward me. Regardless of whether I'm walking in the street or not, I'm looking dead at you, and a pedestrian has a right of way. You don't have a right to hit them because they're walking in the street. Not only that, they're all gang stalking. They're all stalking me. They know exactly where I'm at. They know exactly who I am. And the entity is going to be prosecuted for that. That's an unlawful threat. Remember that I'm advocating on behalf of the ordinary target individual. I don't have less protection just because I know what's going on and I'm documenting, I'm enforcing my rights, and I seem like I'm tougher than the North. No, you don't get less constitutional rights, less protections because of that. All right, so the entities, and it's based on a reasonable standard, not the actual standard. The reasonable person is going to be terrorized and frightened by that. And I am not less reasonable just because I'm not frightened by it. I am perfectly reasonable. All right, so anyway, I want to make sure that I go through that. That third party just committed what I'm documenting on podcast. That's assault with a deadly weapon. All right, speeding right toward me, threatening me with that machine while you're gang stalking. And I document your license plate, and you're molesting me. You're engaging in sexual violence. You're molesting me. You're stalking me. And you're engaging in what is violence toward me, threatening violence with a machine, a deadly machine. That's what that third party just committed as an entity. That's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. Okay, this is POC. It's currently 9:19 p.m. (8KNV237). Gang stalking at a fake church. License JZ719 handicap. License 9UBP729. This is the fake church that's on G Street. I took pictures of them last night, congregated in the dark. They were all chit-chatting, right? Not looking at you while they're gang stalking you, and I'm across the street. So I'm not yelling, hey, I'm about to take a picture. But the moment that I documented, I'm gonna take a picture, I stop speaking and I turn my camera on, all those demons turned around and faced me, and you'll see that in the camera. That's Satan. Satan is using every single last one of those person's bodies is what I mean by that. And they're focused on me. They're gang stalking. This is the fake church that I documented last night. My shadows on the side of the building and my shadows on the floor while they're stalking in front of a building. Do not be deceived by the name of a venue. Calling it a hospital, that's just speaking to how life-threatening, how corrupt the entity is, because there's no exception to the pattern of conduct. Calling it a church, that's how deceptive Satan is, because there's no deviating from the pattern of conduct. 8WXY 858, 8PFH 363. P.O.C. It's currently again 9:21 p.m. and these are the people of the state where the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department are flying all over their homes, monitoring, gang stalking me all night long, and they don't mind because they're gang stalking together, right? P.O.C. All right, touching me with light and amplifying audible activity. That is the same formula, 67080C4. This is at 636 North Vine Avenue, 711. License VSNDHU. And they're engaged in surveillance. You go in the store and then a whole bunch of cockroaches, they come out of the crevices and then they park outside, surrounding with light. The entity is gang stalking in concert with the demons that are surrounding with light, stalking with light. The stalking with light conduct is going to be used to diagnose mental illness of the demons who are gang stalking. That's why I capture it. Pay attention to it, study it, because it's going to be the means of diagnosing mental illness. These are psychopaths and sex offenders. It is currently 9:24 p.m. Stalking in the path is the same demon. This male, license AGSPTR, with the Ontario International Airport. Hiding behind the windshield cover, stalking in the path with light while the Ontario International Airport flies over 325 West G Street. In operation of his communication device, engaging in terrorism and stalking a woman with the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario International Airport, in the engineered environment. The Ontario International Airport is pacing along G Street where there is, again, there's no terminals over the Ontario City Hall. The entity is engaged in clear deviation, stalking from place to place, as I'm now at the TABOR Professional Building coming from the 7-Eleven, and the people of the state are stalking with that government. This is a third party documented again on another night, lurking in the dark, ominous stalking with light, a sex offender, a predator, and engaging in what is domestic terrorism, license AGSPTR. That appears to be a Latino male in operation of his communication device at 9:40 p.m. You'll see him stalking in the path with his headlights on. Remember, this is an environment where I have multiple shadows. That's the context. And you will also see the Ontario International Airport facilitating that gang stalking while they're flying in the airspace far from any airport takeoff. This is the people and the government acting in concert. And this is a sex offense. It's 9:41 p.m. P.O.C. All right, the city of Ontario and the people of the state engage in what is harassment. Stalking with amplified audible activity and extraordinarily loud activity is a threat by the entity that is gang stalking. Recall the documentation today of the fake sent over me at B and Lemon, and you hear the amplified train activity. And the more that I document, the louder that the train activity gets. Train activity that you're never going to hear in the first place. Union Pacific is not heard throughout the city of Ontario merely because there is a train track and a location in the city of Ontario. But that's the entity that's engaging what is monitoring evidence, federal stalking. And as they are engaging, keeping you under surveillance, and the evidence against the government's keeping that under surveillance, the government engages in, but the people of the state are the government. License AGSPTR is threatening my life and safety and well-being while harassing with amplified audible activity with all of the co-defendants, including the city of Ontario, that uses plain activity like it just did as I began documenting the people of the state. Driving by in a motorcycle, gang stalking, they're one entity, okay? So these are demons that are pacing all night long, stalking around me in engineered light. The impossible light activity is documentation of harassment by stalkers who are monitoring you, and so is the amplified audible activity underway by stalkers who are monitoring you, and they're all mentally ill as well. So this is relevant to the prosecution of the government. That is, again, stalking and not going to, the entity has already forfeited any guise under which they can allege that the targeted individual, no one is alleging that Erica Lorenz Spencer is mentally ill under any circumstances. not with a straight face, not with any support, not with any evidence. And to the contrary, the entity that's engaged in criminal conduct to maintain what it has yet to explain in federal court. How you have a secret conservatorship, how you have a secret marriage to somebody that is alleging that the government's been targeting them and has maintained diligent documentation proving it. Speaking to the absence of any mental illness, in fact, quite the contrary, the presence of mind and a legal skill set to in an organized fashion, lay out the entire pattern of conduct exhibited by the government in concert with the population that is interested, that is motivated in stealing a lot of property, a lot of money from me. That property that the government, that the entity, that even those that are keeping a secret conservatorship have never stated belongs to me, have stolen from, while they are simultaneously targeting. That's what's relevant with regard to AGSPTR, gang stalking me with the city of Ontario. And this is why the Ontario Police Department is being disbanded. This is relevant to the repeated kidnappings by the entity that seeks to manufacture mental illness by your engaging in criminal conduct. The absurdity of this corrupt system is speaking to what is under no circumstances is any of this conduct that I'm documenting that's going to be addressed in a court where the state of California and Tracy Banks, Jason Fields, there is not any property that I'm sharing, that I'm losing. They're going to, what the entity has already stolen. The entity has already stolen property from me, stolen money from me. This is corruption while they're gang stalking at the same time. In addition to that, the entity is going to be subject to giving me back the property that it has stolen while it's been gang stalking me the whole time. And the entity is not taking any of my property. They're not stealing any of my property through gang stalking. The same psychopaths that are stalking with amplified noise under a fake sun, gang stalking in planes and helicopters, gang stalking through a whole population that includes third-party AGSPTR, a psychopath. Stalking in the middle of the night, like every other third party that I documented. All right, that's the demon that's pacing up and down G Street, just so you know. And it was louder before in its criminal activity by a government that conspired my murder and kidnapping because they thought that they were going to falsely depict my character and steal my money, steal all the rest of it. And nobody would know the wiser. This is speaking to what is removing the government's ability to ever, under the law, permit another American citizen to claim unilaterally that somebody else's property is better in their own hands, under their control. Because the threat, as the state of California is showing through gang stalking, is capable of manufacturing what is a so-called threat to the manufacturing an inability to control your own personal property, real property. Frankly, the government has no interest and no legitimate interest in controlling that and having any interest in that. People that just want to control your money and your property, the government actually has no legitimate interest in that. I find it to be illegitimate. The entity, unless you're talking about an American citizen that would accept that. Like, for example, stating, I would like to give my family member the ability to exercise a measured amount of control over my property because of these conditions that I suffer from, because I trust this person and I'm fully a part of the process. It's totally transparent and nobody is gang stalking me and engaging in what is a secret coup over the circumstances of my life, trying to manufacture grave disability under the Welfare and Institutions Code, trying to manufacture mental illness while they're engaged in a program of psychological torture. The entities engaging in what is obvious criminal conduct, I have no idea what these imbeciles who are obviously stalking, engaging in obviously problematic conduct with commercial planes and helicopters that are documented for years on video and in images and in podcasts. But I know that it's not going to result in taking any of my property. In addition to that, the entity is now just engaging in what is exposing criminal surveillance, doing so with regard to what is a system that's occurring in the United States. Pursuant to surveillance, this surveillance system includes where this entity chooses American citizens to steal from by targeting them. And the American citizen that typically doesn't have any proof of it, doesn't have any idea what they're surrounded by or what's happening to them, is stolen from, is successfully defamed, is kidnapped and kept inside of facilities like San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, West Valley Jail, where they're engaging in psychological torture, where they're gang stalking in that jail, where all of those deputies are demon possessed. And they're engaging in what is kidnapping, exercising no genuine authority under the law while they're engaging in criminal surveillance. All right. So the entities engaging in this and this licensed AGSPTR, that third party, And in addition to every other third party, every business establishment, the state of California, the city of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario International Airport, in other words, the entire entity is engaging in a threat together while they maintain amplified audible activity. This is how freak weirdos who use noise to harass you, freak weirdos who use light, they sling light all over. These mental health patients are going to be treated like the animals that they are. And I have the evidence on video. Contrary to what the demon-possessed do, they lie and just put it on paper, and you have corrupt officials, corrupt judges, and corrupt attorneys that enable that. That's supposed to be the stamp of certification because corrupt government actors are engaging in this pattern of conduct, and that's also going to change. All right, because the entity has shown that you're not trustworthy just because you hold that position. And the specific environment is directly relevant to that. The rest of these imbeciles that are engaging in conduct, they're engaging in conduct as an entity. Tracy Banks has no hope whatsoever of ever stealing any of my property. I'm holding on to every ounce of it. And she is going to federal prison for stealing what she has already stolen in concert with the state of California. Demons of the Ontario Police Department that have stolen any of my property, demons that are public officials, any corrupt judges and attorneys that have stolen any of my property, any of these gang stalking imbeciles that have stolen any of my property, any of my money, guess where they're going? They're going to federal prison. I'm documenting them now while I'm being gang stalked. This is why I'm being gang stalked. That's why they're going to federal prison. And this is not going to result in any successful court case in federal. It's not resulting in any successful court case. The entity is obviously targeting, and that targeting is directly rebutting any legitimate position in a court where, again, a whole bunch of demons who are mentally ill have gone off the deep end and lost the whole point of what they were supposed to accomplish in the first place. So now they're shown to be clearly targeting me and engaging in that with the motivation to steal and criminally defame. And they've lost that endeavor. So now all they're doing is being exposed. I'm prosecuting them on the internet, and I'm going to prosecute them in court. The government, the state of California, the people of the state of California. Okay, this is what the entity is accomplishing while flying over 325 West G Street, while flying over the Aegis Treatment Center, while flying over the Ovid Family Community Library, the 280 North Lemon Apartments, flying over the Ontario City Hall. These are no mysteries whatsoever, and there's a body of evidence of targeting me by plane and helicopter in the specific environment with the people of the state, engaging in highly demented, sexually perverted, and deranged behavior while they're targeting, and have been stealing my property the whole time. This is not resulting in any successful court case by Tracy Banks, Jason Isaac Fields regarding my property at all. And the entity has totally forfeited that because they're more psychopathic than they are logical with regard to how you're going to strategically resist or contend with the evidence against you. And all Satan has, all the mentally ill have done is provide more evidence that they're gang stalking me. That's all they've done. They're not, again, the entity is, again, under no circumstances has no intention, has no plan, and has no route to success in court, because that's what matters. And guess who's going to federal prison? Off the top of the list, Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. License 98UC740, she's going to federal prison. Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook, they're going to federal prison. Just off the top of the list, just off the top of my head. Corey Watson's going to federal prison. Everybody kidnapping on June 16, 2022, they're going to federal prison. The entity's been engaged in an ongoing pattern of conduct for years, and they're gang stalking to date based on what is a deluded mind state. There's going to be a moment in court where you're going to face evidence about your criminally monitoring, stalking, harassing, targeting. You're not taking any of my property, ever. You're not taking any of it. And you're going to prison any public official that aided in gang stalking me in order to steal from me. The entity, by the way, I want to be clear, they're providing evidence as to why and how long you're going to federal prison. All of you demons who are listening and witnessing your exposure on the internet. It is currently 9:53 p.m. where license AGSPTR is engaging in the pattern of conduct of the whole population, stalking with the government, which is what the entity is engaging in when it seeks to and conspires to murder and kidnap American citizens. The entity does that because it's so unheard of, it's so unprecedented, that you are supposed to be written off and discarded as mentally ill. And not only is that not the case, I've also proven through the evidence that that's not even logical. That's not how the law works. That's not how the law operates. And it's also literally not the facts. They're shown to be mentally ill psychopaths who are clearly stalking in all of the unprecedented ways, using planes, using helicopters, using police departments, using airports, using fire departments, using gang stalking ambulance operators. You're using a whole van with an ambulance logo on it to stalk one person. You're a psychopath and you're unfit to be in the medical profession, because that's literally what they're doing. None of that is stealing any property from somebody that you're trying to falsely depict as mentally ill. The entity is going to be diagnosed as mentally ill. The entity is going to be prosecuted as engaging in what is gang stalking, which is going to be treated under federal law as domestic terrorism. And gang stalking police departments like the Ontario Police, who are crossing path on G Street right now in helicopter at 9:54 p.m. in the specific environment where the Ontario International Airport is targeting with them, where they've been gang stalking on Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun remained over this small little radius of property all day long, like I've been documenting, which, by the way, is speaking to targeting, where no targeting entity is stealing any of my property. Neither is Tracy Banks or Jason Isaac Fields. They're going to prison. And so is every kidnapping demon of the Ontario Police acting in furtherance of trying to steal my property. And you're not even intelligent enough to avoid 70 plus videos of you stalking me on a daily basis. That is going to federal prison. That's what's stalking in helicopter right now. But I just want to be clear, and do not ever get lost in the trees. None of this is stealing my property. This is what the entity sought to engage in, and they are the ones that have lost control. They are the ones that are showing their maniacal, demented mind state. They are the ones that have no legitimacy with regard to looking like anything other than clearly targeting, stalking, engaging in exactly what it is that I've detailed, exactly what it is that I've described. That has no chance in court at all. While they're focused on G Street, while they're focused on something that's not happening, meaning you're not taking my property, they're the ones that forget the objective because they're stalking me and monitoring my vagina. They're the one because they're demons. These are animals. They're just engaging in what is, who are we going after? And then all the demons attack. All the demons are subjected. They are subject to what is my authority. And guess what the demons do? The demons follow where I lead. You know, I've been leading to a federal prosecution. I've been leading to mental asylums. I've been leading to federal prison. I've been leading to tremendous, devastating damages. Every gang stalking company, every gang stalking establishment, every gang stalking employee, every gang stalking neighborhood, every gang stalking local government, every gang stalking mayor. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct, and you're not stealing anybody's property. You're not stealing my property. You're not stealing any American citizen's property. This is establishing precedent. Because where any government's engaging in this, they have just demonstrated that it is too much of a threat to permit any person, any government, to overrule what is a constitutional right to maintain control over your personal property, your real property. It's not the so-called purported interest. It wages too much of a threat, and that threat it supersedes what is the threat to being targeted, your life being taken, your life being overwhelmed with a bunch of demons who are conspiring to steal your property. No, the so-called interest is overwhelmed. It's superseded by the threat to American citizens that you have a right to not be subject to. It's unconstitutional, in other words, to put it in layman's terms. All right, based on the criminal conduct of the state of California. This is going to be more than just the prosecution of the state of California. This is establishing precedent. It's relevant for what's going on in the rest of the country. It's relevant for what no government shall be able to do again. Remember, they do this to the ordinary targeted individual. The entity is under no circumstances, even the use of the Welfare and Institutions Code, the way that the entity abuses it, it's unconstitutional, it's overly vague. It's capable of being manufactured, in other words. If you are able to make it up, then that's not scientific, and that's overly vague. And you can cloak anybody in that for whatever corrupt purposes. Now, the entity sought to do it against me. They can't not do that to me. They can't. I've shown you how they've sought to do that. I've documented. I'm going to prosecute for it. People that kidnapped me in 2021, they are going to prison. There's no statute of limitations. You're going to prison. You are going to prison. As surely as these imbeciles are providing evidence about why you are going to prison and that there's no statute of limitations. You engaged in kidnapping in 2019. You engaged in kidnapping in 2020. You engaged in kidnapping in 2021. You engaged in kidnapping in 2022. You're going to prison. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently, and this entity has no hope. You're not stealing any of my property, because that's exactly what it is. It's theft by a bunch of actually mentally ill psychopaths who are, again, drunk with power. a power that they abuse. But however, when they're faced with somebody that knows the law, somebody that knows the ways, the appropriate ways that things are supposed to go, the way that it's going to be executed, and having the authority to dictate that, and having the ability to document in order to prosecute with evidence, none of the entity stands no chance. And you're witnessing the demise of the state of California, the prosecution, and what is going to be the diagnosis of a massive amount of people that suffer from actual mental illness that is not addressed. It's not addressed. And those that are in the legal profession, those that are in a public office, those that are the average nuclear family, those that are in a part of and even at the tops of companies that you support, they are the same condition. It is currently 9:59 p.m. This has been another day of documenting the state of California gang stalking me, following me from place to place as an entity. And it is the evidence that is putting Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields in federal prison. This is the evidence that's going to disband the Ontario Police Department for kidnapping and furtherance of seeking to defame my character, because Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields, the state of California, corrupt judges and court officials, public officials have conspired to steal property, money that belongs to me. That the entity has kept secret from me, and has kept me under this circumstance, gang stalking me while seeking to manufacture mental illness. And that's just literally absurd, as I've documented this. How is anybody, the only way that you are ever criminally defamed, falsely depicted as mentally ill, is because the entity is corrupt, because this does not create mental illness on the part of the target individual. They're stalking you with impossible light. They're stalking you under a fake sun. They're stalking you with things that aren't even real, like amplified train activity. Who's the psychopath? Who's the mental health patient? The demons who are stalking, that are up at 2 a.m, driving down the street, stalking a woman in the middle of the night. They're awaiting diagnosis. They're awaiting prosecution. They're awaiting the appropriate labels so that the rest of the country, wherever they go, they are literally providing a warning so that people know the threat that they pose to the public. Okay? This is the entity that has been providing evidence all day long on another day, in conformity to a long body of evidence, which is serving to prosecute the state. It's going to remove public officials from office. It's going to put some corrupt people in courts, in prison. It's going to put some kidnappers away in prison. And it's going to put those that have engaged in what is trying to maintain some court case. There's no successful court case. You know what? I'm going to let you know what's going to happen right now. I'm going to get every ounce of my money back. And those that engaged in stealing my property, stealing my money behind they're going to federal prison. They're going to federal prison. People like Tracy Banks maintaining a secret conservatorship and defaming my character while I am, and this is not to brag, but this is just the reality. These are just facts. I'm a college graduate. I financed my own college education, my own legal education. She didn't pay for me to take the California bar. She didn't give me any advice about how to do that. And while I'm in her apartment, while I'm studying, bettering myself and my future prospects in my life, which she had nothing to do with, she's been a whore since before she was of the age of 18. She's been a witch practicing witchcraft since before I was born. This is somebody that's envious of me and wants to be me. And everything that comes out of her face is nothing other than audible activity. This is not bad mouthing and disrespecting somebody that gave birth to me. This is speaking the truth about Satan, who is using Tracy Banks. And I'm going to prosecute this gang stalker for seeking to trying to maintain my identity, wanting to steal my property, and then wanting to be me while at the same time wanting to defame me behind my back. And also do so because she wants to steal property. This high school graduate has no chance, and she's going to federal prison. The gang stalking entity provides evidence against itself and against Tracy Banks. None of them are getting my property. And everybody that stole property, guess what? They stole property while they were gang stalking me. Those that are aware of property that I don't even know about, you know why they know about it? Because they're engaged in this targeting system. They're telling on themselves. As surely as I have thousands of videos of impossible light activity, as surely as I have a body of evidence going from California to Nevada of stalking in the specific environment. They've stolen property that I know nothing about because they're a part of this targeting system. And they are literally admitting to what is engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, targeting with the motive to steal property from somebody that they sought to falsely depict as mentally ill. And what actually happened is Providence exposing the fact of surveillance in the United States, exposing the fact of amongst the surveillance which is underway with the population. The civilian population is engaging in surveillance with the government. It's demonic. And amongst these demons that are engaging in surveillance, unbeknownst to you, in violation of all of our constitutional rights and human rights, because it's monitoring. They're engaging in what is surveillance on communication devices and on the internet. Nothing is private, and you are being monitored when you're on the internet. Not only that, the entity is providing evidence about what's going on amongst the surveillance system. They target American citizens, as I have been subject to, and as I have laid out how it operates, what it looks like, and how you can prosecute it, and how you disincentivize it. Gang stalking mayors are removed from office, and as gang stalking mayors communicate threats, like Paul Leon has, like Paul Leon continues to do, Paul Leon's going to find himself in a federal prosecution. Paul Leon is not far. He's not impervious to being put in federal prison. And I mean that. The Ontario Police Department is acting in concert with Tracy Banks, conspiring to criminally defame my character. Paul Leon is engaging in that pattern of conduct with the city of Ontario. Let me just be clear. The pattern of conduct is speaking directly to corruption at every level of government. Paul Leon is, again, not only a fake pastor, he is engaged in monitoring me right now while demons at the fake church on G Street in Laurel are monitoring what I'm speaking. Paul Leon is, again, he's not even around the corner. He is facing a federal prosecution. I'm just going to put it like that. Every level of government in the city of Ontario, I have him, everything but his face on my camera, but I don't need it. I have literally the gang stalking headquarters, the city hall, the fake son over me, stalking me by helicopter for years at that Ontario City Hall. Paul Leon knows exactly what's going on while the Ontario Police Department terrorized me and simultaneously kidnapped me while trying to put on paper that I'm mentally ill, while they are maniacal psychopaths. Paul Leon is going to find himself federally prosecuted, and you're going to prison. It's a slam dunk case. I've already collected all the facts. You're going to be prosecuted. I'm going to let you know how that's going to end. The entity is not taking any of my property. These are, again, this is Satan. Satan is out of control. So these demons that are stalking, I'm documenting your license plate. I'm getting where you work. I'm getting your address where you live. And not only that, I don't need it. The federal government knows where you are at. My documentation is going to be supplementary. And these are the demons that have lost perspective. You're not winning any court case. You're not taking any of my property. You don't have a legitimate conservatorship. You will exercise no control over my property. You're going to prison for anything that you've already stolen. It's an admission that you were targeting me. How do you take property from me that I don't even know about? How is that? But for targeting, which I have unilaterally investigated and proven. This is what the police departments in California, this is what the sheriff's departments in California are doing. This is what the gang stalking mayors in California are doing. You don't have an ongoing coincidence. The gang stalking mayor in West Covina, in Arcadia, in Monrovia, in Pasadena, in Pomona, in Ontario, in San Bernardino, in Los Angeles, they're all gang stalking. Documented it all. They're all gang stalking. This is the prosecution of the state of California. This is the entity that already forfeited stealing my property. None of them are. And this is, again, now they're just maniacal psychopaths who are mentally ill, which you already know that, but they were doing it for an objective. They were planning to steal money from me seeking to falsely depict my character. No gang stalking demon, no gang stalking entity is falsely depicting the character of me or any American citizen. That's never going to happen again. This is absurd. It's absurd that it's only through corruption that you would be able to do that in the first place. I have thoroughly scrutinized the corrupt acts of what is necessarily a corrupt courthouse in order to do that. Gang stalking is no reflection on the targeted individual's character whatsoever, at all. They are revealing their mental illness while all the ways in which these demons are targeting. Flinging light, you are a sick person. You have issues. You're a freak weirdo, stalking in the middle of the night. You like to do so while you're holding kids? Okay, that child is probably as disturbed as you. It's not cute, it's not compassionate, you don't look innocent. Okay, you look like a demented psychopath. The entity has already lost. Satan has lost. The demon possessed have lost. Now they're just gang stalking to be gang stalking, which is also relevant to this prosecution. But there will be no stealing any more of Erica Lorenz property. And the way that this is going to end is I'm going to walk out of a courtroom with every dime that belongs to me. Every single dime and every piece of real property and all of my intellectual property. It is currently 10:07 p.m. The entity is gang stalking at 7-Eleven, stalking in the path with light. The Ontario International Airport amplifying planes while I've been documenting right now. The people of the state pacing around me, stalking as a population, as a community in Ontario on behalf of the state of California. And the entity gang stalking in the sky space at a higher elevation and with the Ontario Police Department by helicopter pacing back and forth at G Street and Euclid. Impossible light behind me while these demons are crossing paths, driving what is east on G Street at what is 10:08 p.m. and that's directly relevant to Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields going to federal prison, and the Ontario Police Department, those kidnappers going to federal prison. Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook, they are all going to federal prison, and the demons that engage in gang stalking have never thought all the way through how their criminal conduct is going to come back and bite them in the tail. They haven't thought about that. They're putting, they are aiding in what is my purposes. This is exactly what the entity's been engaged in, gang stalking. Gang stalking while engaging what is acting like you're a legitimate police officer. No, you're not. The Ontario International Airport has demonstrated that. The people of the state have demonstrated that. The Ontario Police Department, the fire, every level of government has demonstrated you're going to prison. It's as simple as that. They're going to prison. It is currently 10:09 p.m. and this is P.O.C.
All right, here's Ontario PD stalking in the path. They're molesting with impossible light. I'm being molested with impossible light activity. And they're crossing path, amplifying helicopter activity. They're pacing around. They're still engaging in stalking while you're looking at them flying in the distance. That's called crossing path. They're sounding helicopter activity. That's what the Ontario International Airport is doing as well. It is currently, while they're stalking, this is ongoing evidence against stalking by a police department. It's 10:28 p.m. while the entity is gang stalking with the people of the state at the building. And this is criminal monitoring. They are monitoring. This is P.O.C. Okay, that same pattern of conduct, the entity that engages in what is demented, demonic, criminal. It's criminal. What the entity does with light, what the entity does with audible activity, what the entity is doing in the path, it's literally stalking pursuant to monitoring. It's criminal. So as I document what you just heard, the video of the Ontario Police gang stalking by crossing path and helicopter, again, the entity is molesting me. These are sex offenders that are going to be disbanded, and while their co-defendant molests my thighs while I am sitting on the stairs at the TABOR Professional Building. Again, that's the demons of the Ontario Police engaging in retaliation. It's the same demonic spirit operating over all of these people together. And so the demons molest me with light as I document the entity gang stalking by helicopter immediately after that video ends. The people of the state are going to be documented. This is P.O.C. They're stalking with light. Sitting on the sidewalk, none of their headlights are touching. And also their headlights doesn't cause the multiple shadows to like travel across your body or travel across surfaces. Their sex offenders touching all over me together. And I'm going to document sex offenders tonight. This is P.O.C. It's 10:32 p.m. All right, the people of the state that I'm going to document are gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, who are maintaining surveillance. That's light activity, relevant positioning, and ongoing audible activity via helicopter. This is where Ontario International Airport is also gang stalking. This is pacing by the people in concert with the Ontario Police. And this is, again, criminal surveillance. So this is the impossible light activity. And this is, again, the people of the state that are going to be documented. I'm going to go get license plates. The people of the state that are in this neighborhood gang stalking with this light activity, they're monitoring where they're living. They're monitoring with the demons that are pacing. And I'm going to go get all their license plates that are gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department, who are following me around, just like I'm documenting at the U.S. Bank, when I'm documenting at Starbucks, when I'm documenting at the museum, when I'm documenting at the venues when I'm walking down the street, from venue to venue, from location to location, and the entity is maintaining helicopter activity under the fake sun and in what is the engineered light. I'm going to document the people of the state that are gang stalking, engaging in what is the pattern of conduct while they're living in a specific environment, such as 325 West G Street. They have license plates. They're engaging in stalking with the demons while they're in their homes. They're engaging in the elements of monitoring as well. So I'm going to document more sex offenders. I'm going to document more terrorists that are gang stalking right over here in this radius, this little radius right here. I'm going to document the entity gang stalking with the Ontario Police. It is currently 10:55 p.m. This will be documented via podcast. P.O.C. All right, I want to document this helicopter activity because I'm going to go document the people of the state. Gang stalking by residents, and the entity that's engaged in gang stalking, providing this level of evidence, the Ontario Police Department that are kidnapping on May 29th, they're definitely going to federal prison because that's all that they were doing, were engaging in criminal surveillance. P.O.C. It's currently 10:57 p.m. The entity is flying over my head at the TABOR Professional Building, and I'm going to go document the people of the state that are gang stalking by residents. Just want to be clear, this is what I mean with regard to the entity losing total perspective. This corrupt system that's, number one, supposed to remain a secret. The entity has forfeited that. I have, again, the entity that is documented engaging in criminal monitoring, like clear
targeting by a police department. The entity is, again, being exposed as seeking to want to use that same police department as a basis to try to manufacture mental illness. That doesn't work when that police department is proven to be targeting. This is an entity that's providing that level of evidence against itself, and there is no strategy with regard. There's no placement or route to victory with what the entity is doing by gang stalking me through the police. The entity is just gang stalking with regard to the mental illness that's exhibited by the entity that is gang stalking through police departments and with police departments, using helicopters, masquerading as a legitimate police officer, engaging in something else when you're stalking a whole other person. That's a psychopath. And that's also a mentally ill person that needs to be removed from law enforcement. As surely as you hear the entity stalking me by helicopter at what is the TABOR Professional Building, this is where the entity is engaging in kidnapping at Woodside Senior Apartments on May 29th. C. Torres, L. Martinez, B. Hook, and Nathan Morgan are all going to federal prison because this is exactly what they were doing. They were gang stalking with the people of the state, like the Ontario Police Department is doing right now. License 24490K1 at 630 North Fern Avenue. The entity is stalking with plane activity. As I move from the TABOR Professional Building, so do the planes. 7JVN197 at 630 North Vine Avenue. License 7JHZ975. And I want to be clear, make sure that you pay attention to that. The Ontario Police Department stalking repeatedly and helicopter, that's an unlawful threat to my life, to my safety, to my liberty, to my well-being. This is a body of evidence that the Ontario Police Department has been engaged in monitoring me, targeting me with Tracy Banks, with the people of the state for years, doing so in furtherance of murder and kidnapping me. And this police department specifically engaging in what is repeatedly kidnapping upon manufacturing, making up information while they're kidnapping me because they have conspired with Tracy Banks to defame me on paper so that this entity could steal property. This is the same police department that's stalking me tonight, flying over my head by helicopter, engaging in what is the ongoing documented pattern of conduct of stalking me with the whole population. This is why Tracy Banks is going to federal prison, and those gang stalkers on video on May 29th, they're going to federal prison. This is the pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring, where the entity is targeting with the intent to profit from my demise. They are not only not going to take any of my property, they're going to federal prison. Anybody stealing my property is going to federal prison, because my property is why the Ontario Police Department is stalking me in the middle of the night, threatening my life in doing so. All right. So understand that justice requires federal prison and nothing less than that. Nothing less than that. It is currently 11 p.m. So I want to make sure that you understand everything that's entailed with the Ontario Police gang stalking me and flying over my head repeatedly by helicopter, clearly stalking me, clearly targeting me. License 9HTF326. And it's 11 p.m. on the dot. License 7JHZ975. I read that one. And this is the demon that was stalking with light a couple nights ago while the entity was stalking by helicopter. Right over here on Fern Avenue, 6W53229. They're in their homes. They are indeed in their homes gang stalking. And as they're doing so with the city of Ontario, that's flying over where they live, where the entity is maintaining engineer light, and the people of the state are engaging in surveillance by pacing all around on the streets, and they're gang stalking by residents. License, again, 9HTF326 is covered in engineer light while this demon, 8LNS835, crosses path. License 7XPL229. That's the entity engaged in criminal summoning. So you can expect that while I document the people of the state, because this is the entity that is indeed engaged in criminal surveillance, and they are monitoring in their homes. 8ZTG782. That's the Ontario Fire Department engaged in criminal summoning, just like they were at the Ontario City Hall. Under the fake sun, while the Ontario Police engage in criminal summoning. License plate 6FQB472. License 7ZKU726. And they're engaged in criminal summoning. Understand, when the entity is engaged in elements monitoring, it's because the other elements of monitoring are also present. The people of the state are monitoring me while I am reading their license plates. They know that they're being documented right now. They are stalking where they live. License 6XVE193. License 4XEZ709. They're stalking with the Ontario Fire Department. They're stalking with the Ontario Police Department. You are stalking where you live. You are stalking with the demons who are pacing, monitoring, molesting me with light. You are stalking with the Ontario International Airport that's stalking by flying over your home, monitoring me and doing so. And they're monitoring as well. They're all engaged in Title 18 federal stalking as well. They're all engaged in this ominous stalking at the ends of the streets, aiming light. That's what the people of the state are doing while I'm reading their license plates. These demons are monitoring in real time. They know that they're being documented. The City of Ontario is gang stalking me in concert with them as I read their license plates. License 7ZKU726. And they all communicate a threat while the Ontario Police Department fly over my head like they're going to start shooting at me, like they're going to drop bombs at me, like I'm some sort of war enemy or something. 7BTJ448. And the people of the state are going to be prosecuted accordingly. They're monitoring together. License 7WCS716. These are the sex offenders molesting me with light when I'm sitting inside of the Starbucks and the fake sun sits over that cafe and the people of the state just come in engaging in surveillance, taking turns just stalking in that cafe all day long while I'm being molested with light that is just appearing out of nowhere in the air, while I'm being molested sitting outside of the TABOR professional building and the entities engaged in surveillance stalking me at that venue. This is the population that I'm documenting by name as I read their license plates, specific identities of the same sex offender, the same entity. 6XXT119. 5UGN031. License plate 9GNG519. These demons with Confederate flags on their property, 7LDR436. No wonder they're gang stalking. Not a surprise. My shadow is moving, multiple shadows all over these demons' properties while I'm walking around documenting them. License plate 7BQG318, and it is 11:05 p.m. BAR254. Nine MRH819. License plate 8TCJ056. License 8CKW 8CKH768, excuse me. Nine RWZ356. 7DSF632, 8HNC933. This neighborhood, they're all engaged in criminal summing. The Ontario Fire Department is monitoring while they sound their sirens and drive by in the fire truck, and that those sirens stop as after they drive by my person that has multiple shadows around me. They're all in their homes monitoring. Their homes are referred to as facilitating venues, third-party facilitating venues, where they are subject to the federal prosecution for gang stalking, which is criminal surveillance that the people of the state engage in where they live. 7GDE612, 8BIN325. They engage in it in concert with the government where they live. 6XZA126. And the government has no warrant or probable cause to do it directly, not through stalking by helicopters. not through stalking at business establishments, and also not through stalking you where you live in your private space or on the job. And they also don't have any constitutional authority to do it through the people of the state. 7 WPA 629, no warrant, no probable cause, no constitutional authority, not even any legitimate interest. This is entirely unconstitutional. 5 NQM 928. They all committed criminal summoning, as you heard that fire truck sounding sirens, and they concentrated the sound and the lights on the vehicles where I'm at. This is where they're all gang stalking as soon as I start documenting their license plate. 7ELN 753, 5LF 0961, or 5LF D961. I think that's 5LF 0961. It's a Toyota Camry. 5KXK 738. Yeah. 8LNR 700. 8V 72206. 7VUN 863. 7GJV821. JURCGRL. 7ZXL296. 6XFR761. And I cannot see that license plate. 49109X3. License plate 9MSZ461 7ZYG483. And where I'm documenting the Ontario International Airport gang stalking, repeatedly pacing over 325 West G Street, monitoring me at the TABOR Professional Building. All of this population that I'm documenting are sharing in that criminal engagement and that P.O.C, that terrorism. 6P92237. They're all gang stalking me together, in other words. They're all gang stalking together. It's 11:12 p.m. Crossing path with multiple shadows in doing so, monitoring. That's the people that stayed on foot, they're monitoring. That's the city of Ontario. And these demons that are in their homes are aware that they're being documented. And that's perfectly fine. You're engaging in what is surveillance, and so you're gonna watch your public exposure, you're gonna watch your demise coming straight for you. It's currently 11:13 p.m. But this is relevant as I'm documenting, the entity's engaging in the elements of monitoring because it knows that it's being documented as well. You're engaging in what is necessary. You're going to document the government that's keeping you under surveillance through the population who are a bunch of demons who have no shelter, where they're hiding inside of where they live. That's nothing other than a means of the federal government knowing exactly who you are and where you're at. That's how that information is used. It's 11:13 p.m. The entity maintaining stalkers on foot, late night pedestrians, gang stalking with the state. All right, in the directed light, this is what the entity is doing right now. 6 CEN 135. Amplified train activity is how you know that that's the truth. License 8LKY 994. License 9JHK 710, and all these demons, as I document them, are monitoring me at the same time. And that's documentation of impunity, by the way. License plate 0348A3, that's Nevada. HAL 320. 9LCJ 707. 4V32987. IEANNME 8TPA 113. 6BXG477. Impossible light across this house, so I'm gonna document this license plate right here. License 6KSX868, and they're monitoring while I document them. License 8JZG293, 5YYG649. (9GIL092) or 092. (8 PIA 996), 8 MCN 247. License 7KWE 835 and license 48823S3. Now, the entity, I want to be clear, is not flying planes over 325 West G Street, which is north of me. Now the entity is just maintaining the audible activity of amplified plane engines, and there's no planes that you can see in the sky space, because the entity does not engage in what is flying north of my person when they're gang stalking me. They maintain a position south of my person. If they were maintaining ongoing flights, then they would be flying over the TABOR Professional Building, and they would be north of me flying. They're engaging what is stalking me by commercial planes. That's just another mode of observation. And the Ontario International Airport is already surrounded and proven to be stalking. Stalking in the unprecedented manner where the government is targeting an American citizen using commercial airline planes, which is relevant to psychological torture, where you are trying to manufacture mental illness and you're torturing an American citizen. License 9MZK386. And Alan D. WAPNER is being removed from position for that. Okay, it is currently 11:17 p.m. This and more are the people of the state that are engaging in sharing and terrorizing and stalking me and harassing me as an entity that is both pacing in traffic and pacing and molesting me with impossible light, stalking me all night long, including in their homes where they're in relevant position. And they are in this is not private property. Where the entity is engaged in criminal surveillance, there's a whole other nomenclature. All right, the entity is engaging in what is exploiting the Constitution, and that is no more. Where the government is proven to be engaging in criminal surveillance, you live at a facilitating venue, either a third-party facilitating venue or a state facilitating venue. And they are all in what are third-party facilitating venues where you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and you have no shelter. You are not a private citizen either. You're a state actor. And the entity is stalking with them, using planes and helicopters, flying over all of their facilitating venues. And that is some of the people of the state that I just documented off of G Street, Fern, G Street, Fern, and also went off of D Street, reading these license plates. Let me get this. This is 325 West G Street, license 6YOX838. Yeah, gang stalking. I documented the property of Woodside, and I have more than enough than what's necessary. I just need enough to identify the fact that the entity is targeting. I have information. I wouldn't have that information but for being targeted there. And the entity is going to produce. They're going to produce there's going to be a production, because that's how federal prosecutions work. I'm going to put it that way. And Linda Reyes, like I said before, I did not lie. She's going to federal prison. This is the criminal system she was engaging in while I was at Woodside Senior Apartments. She's gang stalking by place of employment. You're going to prison. You're going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. And the Ontario police that are gang stalking me when I'm at Starbucks, that's what she was engaging in when I was at Woodside Senior Apartments. She's going to federal prison. It is currently 11:20 p.m. That's the people of the state that are still gang stalking as you document them. That's why they deserve the federal cases that they are going to get. All right, it is currently 11:20 p.m. This is P.O.C. License 7PAF963. You'll see in the images uploaded to the Google Drive. This is a demon stalking in the path. Even the dome light in the vehicle is a method of light activity. She's monitoring with the demons that are pacing on G Street as they create what is light activity, crossing path repeatedly. She's monitoring while the demons are in anticipation of me operating my device. And she is, again, the vehicle that's in alignment to me. So this is a demon. They're all engaged in surveillance together. They are acting as one. And this is supposed to be strategic while she is the one that's parked here. So she comes out to her vehicle. This is in an effort to monitor whatever the entity is anticipating I'm going to do on my device. And this is, again, the stalker behavior. It's 11:27 p.m. where she's cleaning out her back seat. You could do whatever you want at whatever time. The entity is engaging in the P.O.C. pursuant to the elements of monitoring, and doing so with regard to where I'm located as I operate my device, and it's all happening in the specific environment where the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking. She is monitoring me. It's currently 11:28 p.m. Again, that's license 7PAF 963.